We're going to talk about all of this, plus your chats right here on the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show, where we have expert trash talk and unrivaled analysis. But this sounds drastic, but I suppose you have to take drastic action when your head coach can't count to 11. I was almost ready to call it off. This is ridiculous.
Let's get into it. Let's talk football. That's going to make us both feel a lot better. And they've finally figured out a winning formula in the last three. Well, I mean, they've been winning the whole time. They just haven't been winning the championships that we won. I mean, Michigan was never a bad team except for maybe 2017 and 2020. Okay, this is really dumb. Why? Maybe it's not dumb. That at the end of this, the NCAA is going to have more egg on their face than Michigan is.
If you're between 19 and 23 years old and people are throwing millions of dollars at you, that's got to mess with your head.
That might be a pipe dream. That might be a pipe dream. I'm just thinking because
it might be, but it would be a lot of fun.
That would be sweet. How long has this segment gone on? Like 40 minutes?
Welcome to the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. This is how things go around here, and you know that because you've seen the show before. All 691 subscribers, by the way, thank you for that.
How many people are going to tune in for the Michigan-Ohio State game now, knowing that the loser of this game can still make the playoffs? I just heard the screams of all of my brain cells die.
We are now up to 907 subs.
Well, actually, hold up, maybe, because we're going to get to this. We'll get to this when we talk more about the spring game.
We have this tradition here that we ask all of our guests, of which you are the first. So it's not a long-standing tradition. All right, well, I do want to be respectful of time. I told Ted we do an
We're
hour
having so
show
much
with-
fun. We're having so much fun.
It's interesting because he said that the goal of the NCAA at this point is to just not get sued anymore.
Yeah, even after these last 3 years, we still represent hard. I mean, you got to rep your team, right? You know?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But the problem was that they weren't pulling in like Ohio State level recruiting classes, and this is a huge concern. But then Harbaugh goes and wins a national championship with a bunch of 3 stars, a handful of 4 stars, and then a couple of 5 stars.
And he will announce the starting QB by the end of this week. The NCAA will have 90 days to respond.
Because, yeah, I mean, Michigan really couldn't throw the ball at all because Chop Robinson's pass rush was just insane. I mean, that guy was awesome. He was everywhere, and he was giving Carson Barnhart all sorts of issues, and that's actually why Sharon Moore pivoted in-game to running 30 bajillion some odd times in a row.
Between Tom Osborne and Solich, they had like 30 years of just destroying everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
And now it's legal? I'm sorry. Was Jim Harbaugh like the biggest college football revolutionary ever?
I'll tell you this. No one willingly lives in Ohio.
Yeah.
Case in point, Garrison here. My dear friend.
No comment.
Jim Harbaugh has just introduced a brand new era of college football. These guys are nerds! And they bullied you! What were you thinking?
Kalen DeBoer, in order to keep up with Nick Saban, all DeBoer has to do is win 6 national championships in 17 years to match Nick Saban.
Thank you.
Beautiful, man.
It was very nice.
I
Yeah.
really
Like,
appreciate it.
I could tell you wrote with, like, from the heart. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
you know, it
Absolutely.
really meant something to you, and I can appreciate that.
I really appreciate you appreciating how much I appreciate this because it meant a lot to me. It was.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
They have a shutout every season. That's nothing. Stop. Move on.
I'm trying to be positive here. I'm trying to give the Hawkeyes some hope.
Lecture. Judges don't give lectures. Judges
Will you just
give
say
judgment.
something for crying out
Right.
loud? That is a bad night for Georgia, but good news for Michigan. The only team Michigan has lost to is now number 1 in the country.
All of Georgia's players are in prison.
Do you think that Notre Dame Purdue is going to be kind of like Arkansas Oklahoma State, where like nobody's trying to win in the second half?
That was awesome. Man, I wish
Sure.
I had half the amount of knowledge that all those guys have.
Mac, take us out.
This is the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. Good night, everybody, and thanks for joining with us. Joining us. Not with us. We're already here.
Good job by J.J. McCarthy. The handoff. Alec Menace is going to throw a pick. They give it to Corum. Up back. Corum. Touchdown, Wolverine. Roman Wilson does it again. Hill finds some daylight. He's got some speed. It's a blocker. Outside. Turns the corner. Blake Corum down the sideline. Looking over the middle. Caught. Touchdown, Wolverine. McCarthy extends the play, now using legs. McCarthy a first down.
I had to turn the mics back on. Yay! Good evening, everybody. We are heading into week 6 of college football. Believe it or not, the preseason prognosticators have turned out to be surprisingly accurate, too. We have what?
They have?
Haven't they? I feel like they have. I feel
About
like
what?
Phil Steele is on a roll.
All right.
Everything.
I'm just saying Florida
Everything.
State's 1-4 or something like that.
Well, nobody cares about Florida State anymore.
That's true.
The Big Ten Brady Bunch is back tonight, calling games and taking names. Well, some of us are. Some of us had other things to do. Important things to do. Sorry.
Ish.
Also tonight, we are going to be watching the Lions game. It is Monday Night Football. It is the NFL, but it is also the Lions. We'll give you the scores and call out the great plays as we see them while we are calling games. And this is all right here on the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show with expert trash talk and unrivaled analysis. I'm your host, Cliff. With me, as always, is Mac.
Hi.
There he is. Okay, there he is. Mac, how are you doing over there?
I'm good. I got $2 on a same game parlay of David Montgomery anytime touchdown scorer, DK Metcalf anytime touchdown scorer, and then Jahmyr Gibbs over 50 yards rushing. So I'll let you know how that goes, but the payout is $18. So if that happens, me and the wifey are hitting up McDonald's.
Nice.
No,
you don't eat at McDonald's.
I don't eat at McDonald's. That sounds disgusting.
Come on.
Well, actually, I hear they're doing better with the beef. The beef is healthier now or something, I guess.
Yeah, but you put that on the scale and
never mind.
Sure, it's healthier. Okay. Anyway,
no, it's not. Move on.
I wanted to say
it's. Are you going to say what I'm thinking you're going to say?
I'm going to say a couple of things. One is,
right.
It looks like, according to the chat, it's Blue Wolverine's birthday. So happy birthday.
I was just going to say that. Happy birthday, Blue Wolverine.
Blue Wolverine. And I also have a note here that it's Jackson Johnson's birthday. I don't know if Jackson's out there, but if he happens to stop by, we'll wish him a happy birthday as well. So happy birthday to Blue Wolverine and Jackson Johnson. Before we get into all of our games, we're going to go through the check down. And as soon as I put this up, so everybody knows, this is, in fact, the check down. What?
Also, if you're new here and you're watching, please subscribe. We are 8 subs away from 1,000. We're 8 subs away from being fully monetized. And I got to tell you, that would be amazing if we could get there tonight, but at least this week would be awesome. But anyway, I just wanted to shout that out.
And a couple of the guys responsible for getting us up to the sub count that we're at are on the show tonight. We'll get to that in just a second. First, the check down. This is what happened over the weekend. We bring you the most interesting stats of the weekend. According to me, that's how it goes. It's my show. Well, it's Mac's show too, but he has another part. There were 2 upsets over the weekend. Rutgers beat Washington. The reigning runner-ups fell to the Scarlet Knights 21-18. The other upset was the Michigan-Minnesota game. Michigan won, but I was still upset.
Yep.
Okay. Michigan State. When you hear the term little brother, you think of how Michigan feels about Michigan State, but every year it's the same story. Michigan State hates Michigan. Ohio State hates Michigan. So Michigan State acts all chummy with Ohio State, and Ohio State accepts the adulation. And then Ohio State plays Michigan State. It doesn't matter where, and it doesn't matter when. Ohio State beats up Michigan State mercilessly for 60 minutes and then gaslights the Spartan into thinking they're still friends.
They're like the most toxic relationship ever, right? Like they're both so in love with each other, but the one is just like destroying the other one. I mean, Ohio State always destroys MSU, but MSU is just so in love with Ohio State because Ohio State probably is going to beat Michigan this year. And it's ridiculous. It's like if you have, a little brother that you don't really like that much, but you still kind of, you got to love him because he's in the same state or whatever. And then he's got this girlfriend who's like super hot, but insanely toxic. And you're looking at him like, I get it, she's cute, but dude, she's killing you, man. No.
I just still don't understand why the Spartans are upset with the whole little brother comment. I mean, it's a term of endearment.
It's a term of endearment. They're family.
Part of the family. All right.
Yeah.
Indiana won, but this time they only scored 42 points. So the shine is finally wearing off.
Yeah.
Penn State beat Illinois. Some picked Illinois for the upset because Illinois looks good this year. Many Penn State fans couldn't handle the rejection and attacked us online in the comments section because that's what winners do. Attack anyone who doesn't grovel at the feet of your once slightly better than mediocre team. You know how many natties Penn State has won?
No, I don't.
2. All time.
And they were a long time ago, I bet.
Yep. Michigan. I think I said this already, but Michigan won again.
Woo!
Kind of.
In score, anyway.
In score. The best stat of the week, by the way, has to do with Michigan. Michigan moved up from number 12 on the AP to number 10 for reasons God only knows. I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't know either. I got nothing.
Sure what's going on there?
Maybe the AP voters just know something that we don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Minnesota's good. I don't know.
Maybe. All right. This has been the check down. If you like what you've seen so far, let me just mess up the whole screen so you can pretend like we're doing something positive here. If you like what you've seen so far, don't forget to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, because as Max said, we are only 8 subs away from 1,000, and then we can be monetized. Thank you very much to everyone who has subscribed already. We really appreciate it. We're having fun here doing this. I hope you're having fun watching us. That's going to do it for that. Mac, it's time.
Let's do it.
You know what it's time for? Here we go.
All right.
I love that intro. That's awesome.
That's
All right, we are going to bring on. Oh, hey, look, we got everybody here. I didn't see him in the. Okay, sorry. Here we go. It is the Pigskin Showdown. We're going to bring on our guests. We're going to start over here with Justin. Justin from the Nebraska voice of college football. Justin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, fellas. Coming off a win this week, so I'm feeling a lot better than I did last week. And Nebraska's back on the show, so that must be move one. So
there you go.
It's always a good time. Where can everybody find you?
Wait, what happened?
We're talking about Nebraska this week?
Of course.
They're not ranked.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, we're receiving votes. All right, give us a break. We're 28.
Feelings, man.
All right.
28.
All right.
If we beat Rutgers this weekend, we're fine. You can find me over at Nebraska Football at the Voice of College Football. I did a breakdown on Rutgers offense today, and you can also find me over on the Big Ten Show at Big Ten Show on YouTube. I dropped my power rankings last week, and I'll be updating those, and I'll have Big Ten Ted on later this week. So,
nice.
Oh yeah,
Big Ten Ted is awesome. We like Big Ten Ted.
Yeah, he brought me on to preview the Nebraska Colorado game.
I remember that. I saw that one.
We've worked with him a few times. Super cool guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
really,
he's awesome.
Good guy, knows his stuff. So
definitely.
Oh, the guy is a living encyclopedia.
Oh yeah,
like he is so smart.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Good back. He's got a long background in this too. I talked to him about it, but yeah, good stuff over there.
Nice. All right. Our next guest, we have Peter from Buckeyes Battle Cry. Peter, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, fellas. Good to be here again. I did not get to consume much college football this past weekend. Was standing in a wedding, but you better believe we had that YouTube TV streaming. We were checking the scores throughout. We were up at the front of the wedding like, all right.
Who schedules a wedding in fall?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you talked about that last week.
Yeah, at least I waited for Christmas. Well, me and the wife. We were both there at our wedding, actually. It's, me and my wife.
You're a smart man, because even if you get married on a bye week, like anniversaries in the future, that's gonna happen anyway.
Exactly.
They're gonna be playing, so
me and my wife just decided to get married like a month before. We're going to Texas, and one night she was like, "You just want to get married when we're out there?" I'm like, "Sure." And then we did it, and that's how it came to be. So there was no planning it out. We just went ahead and got it done. Like, football season's over. It's March. Let's do it now. Got it over with.
That's amazing.
Decision making like that.
Easy day.
That
is done.
Best.
Justin said, "I know I found the one."
My grandpa's an ordained minister. We just got married at my sister's house. Called the day easy.
That's
honest
awesome.
in college football. Yeah,
that makes
That's
it
so
easy.
cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Peter, did you give your socials? Where can everybody find you?
Not yet, but yeah, obviously over on Buckeyes Battle Cry on YouTube. Rob and I go live every Thursday night at 8:30, just previewing the upcoming week games. A little bit of what we're talking about here, but of course, we had our own little flavor as well. And yeah, we have a lot of fun with that. And of course, videos throughout the week. And then you can find my TikTok as well. A little bit different content. I'm actually trying to grow that and trying to make it more TikTok-y and not just YouTube videos on TikTok. And so that's been a new experience for me because I feel a little old for TikTok, but I still have fun, like predicting blind rankings for teams. It's a blast over there. But that's Buckeye Battle Cry as well. But yeah.
What about your OnlyFans?
Oh yeah.
That would not be diving into. Nobody wants to see that.
College football OnlyFans.
But then again, I thought I would never download TikTok, so you never know.
I've still yet to download it. I refuse.
I think you're a better man for it.
I have ADHD. My attention span's short enough as it is, and the last thing I need is something else that just draws dopamine. And it's just like I can sit there and just doom scroll.
I know exactly what you mean on that.
Yep.
I met a sales rep for TikTok because I work in marketing, and we had to talk to some TikTok sales reps. And I mean, picture the most like cliche, stereotypical, sleazy kind of salesman. And that's the TikTok sales reps.
Yeah.
I mean, I already wasn't getting on TikTok, but like I talked to that guy and then got off the call, and I just felt like I needed to take a shower.
It's talentless hacks. It's like people will sit there and they'll put on a video, somebody else's video, and they'll just like cry along with it. And it's like they get like 1 million views, or they'll just be like, I agree. And like,
I agree.
It's so stupid. Like, you don't have to do anything.
So pointless to me too. I don't consume much.
Okay, Rob has been waiting patiently. Let's bring Rob up.
Oh yeah, we got another guy here.
What's
Hey,
up,
Rob,
you
how you
guys? Good. How are you guys? A long time no see.
Yeah, man.
What's going on, man?
How you doing? What's the socials, man?
Social with Peter on YouTube, Buckeyes Battle Cry, and TikTok. It's Buckeye Rob 13.
Excellent.
Awesome. Glad you could join us, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Good to see you.
I heard you guys were talking about who schedules a wedding in fall. Well, I feel bad for those who have it scheduled the weekend of October 12th and the weekend of October 19th, because those are some dynamite lineups right there.
Yeah, those are 2 huge weeks. It's absolutely true.
So as we get into our game calling here, it looks like the Lions have the ball to start. They have had kickoff, and that's all that's happened. They had one play, not much going on there. All right, let's talk some football, fellas.
Great commentary right there.
Wasn't it, though? The game has started.
The game has started.
Thank you very much.
That's how John Mann started your broadcast, right? The game has started.
The game has started.
All right, so as you guys know, we are going into week 6 here already.
Man,
it goes by fast. Our first game tonight is the MSU-Oregon game. MSU having had 2 losses in a row now. They're coming off the loss to Ohio State, where I saw one Michigan State fan say they kept it close. It was a close game, that the score really doesn't reflect the whole game. I don't think that's true.
What?
I don't know what they were talking about, but, it's a Michigan State fan. At any rate, Oregon is coming off a win over UCLA, for whatever that's worth. The spread on this game is 24 points in favor of Oregon. Oregon has a 92.5% chance to win this game. Let's go around the clock here. Rob, why don't we start with you? What's your take on this game? What are you looking for? What do you think is going to happen?
Over the years, what I've noticed about Sparty, when they play a tough team, they only play them tough for so long. Their defense comes in all pumped up. they stop the first couple of drives or so. Their offense maybe goes down, and then just like the downfall just begins. And just like the Ohio State game, Childs and the offense gave Ohio State some trouble, which I mean, I was on the show last week, but I was telling Peter, I'm like, hey, I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan State's offense at first gives them some trouble. Childs is a mobile quarterback. He's just not going to stand in the pocket. He's able to roll out. They have some pretty good receivers. I know they have Nick Marsh, but after a while, what was the final score? Like 39-7, I think.
Yeah, 38.
That's 38. I think 38-7.
Yeah,
38,
that's what I think is going to happen against Oregon. It's just going to be the same outcome, and I hope the fans are going to allow themselves to say, "Hey, it was a lot closer than the scoreboard." Like that just doesn't make any sense. So my final score prediction, I'm going to go with 42-14.
42-14 to Oregon, I suppose.
Yep, Oregon. Oregon. Yep, I forgot that part.
Yep. All right, we had the Lions punted it away, and there was a flag on the return, but I couldn't see what the flag was. So, if you guys are watching this game, feel free to say.
Oh yeah, let me pull it up.
Was that a catch by DK Metcalf? Holy crap, that was
I'm
such
not
a
sure
great
what happened.
Catch. Jeez.
But Seattle,
He's a
did I say
monster.
Oregon? Seattle has the ball. I'm getting my games confused. All right, Peter, you're up next. What do you got with Oregon and MSU? Number 6
Yeah.
Oregon, I should say.
Well, this is an intriguing matchup only in the sense that Lanning and Smith have history with each other. Smith took the first matchup between the two back in 2022. And then Oregon and Lanning got revenge last year in Eugene. And so Jonathan Smith is very familiar with the Oregon Ducks, and he knows their offensive scheme. He knows them very well. And also, I just feel like he's bringing a better team than what he had in Oregon State to the fight. Now, Childs has thrown 8 interceptions so far. You don't want to see that through the games that MSU has had so far. But I feel like the familiarity that Smith has with Lanning is going to play a factor in this game. It might only play a factor for one half. Most likely that's the case because the talent differential is quite stark and drastic. But I'm going 33-17 Oregon, but closer than what Rob thinks and perhaps what most of the nation thinks, just because of that familiarity factor.
Yeah.
I just think he'll put together a good enough game plan to out scheme Lanning for a bit, but then the talent takes over.
Right. Yeah, I forgot that Jonathan Smith was coach over at Oregon State before he came over to Michigan State. Yeah. So you'd think he would have some familiarity there. Again, everybody in the chat, if you want to drop in your scores like Borg Warner did there, feel free to drop them in there and I'll put them on the screen. Justin, let's go over to you. What do you got? Oregon over MSU or MSU over Oregon?
Well, definitely Oregon over MSU. That's for sure. The thing about Oregon, I just, they can consistently score. They can score quick. They can score often. Michigan State doesn't have the ability to score very much at all. Their offensive line is putrid. Their pass blocking is terrible, and it's further hurt by the fact that Childs does move around a lot. That does put some strain on your offensive line as well. But he's having to do what he can. But again, just turnover prone. And there's one person that knows turnovers at the quarterback position is me as a Nebraska fan. And so while Childs does have the ability to make plays happen and he can make things happen, he can create. His decision making just isn't there yet. And I just don't. Michigan State, for what they are, they lack a ton of talent. I think they're ultimately going to be eventually a well-coached team. They just don't look like that right now. They don't look very disciplined. Fundamentally, they're out of position on the defensive side of the ball a lot. So I think Oregon will just put a lot of strain on them, especially with their playmakers. I think Oregon wins this one. I don't necessarily know if Oregon's going to put up a ton of points. I had it more in the range of, I'm kind of with you, whereas I was in the 38-17 range, almost went 41-17, but I'm kind of thinking 38-17. It was hard for me to give Michigan State 17, but I think they might be able to just kind of put maybe a couple drives together. Maybe they come out and score on the scripted drive, maybe late in the game, something like that. So, 38-17 for me, but could be worse than that for sure.
What's Michigan State been averaging as far as points scored?
They have 109 on the season. I know that much.
Where is? Here we go.
Their point differential is 109 to 95, which isn't great.
No.
Looks like their average points per it's 21.
21, 20, 22, 21 or 22. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right, Mac, what do you got? You're picking MSU, right? I know that.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Give me a little brother to represent the state of Michigan now. No. Look, I actually like where Michigan State is going. You can see, I saw a tweet, or an X, whatever, that said that you can see how close this team is to being elite, and that's not even a little true. Michigan
Which
State.
one? Michigan State.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That's that's what I said.
They got to get they got to be average first.
Yes, that's what I said. My thing is though, is I can see flashes of them being good, but I can't see any sort of flashes of them being elite. No. I mean, Aiden Childs right now is playing kind of all or nothing. I mean, people forget he's an 18-year-old. You know, he's got to mature and he's got to get more experience. And that, you know, he turns the ball over a lot right now. That's going to get better with experience. So yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a this year thing. Maybe it'll be better next year, but you know, he's got to get older. He's got to mature. But you can see with Aiden Childs the way that he goes out of the pocket, the way that he plays. Some of the balls that he throws, I mean, there is a lot there. There's a lot of really good raw talent there. Yep. And Jonathan Smith just needs a little bit of time with him to really mold him into a good, mature quarterback. So I can see where people are looking at this Michigan State team and being like, yeah, there's something there. I mean, the defense actually didn't even look terrible. I mean, they didn't look great against Ohio State, but they
haven't been horrible. They haven't.
Yeah,
they grade out pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah. So my thing is sorry, go ahead, Rob.
I wonder why John L. Smith didn't bring DJ Uyunglele with him. I don't know.
I wonder why, because he sucks.
Justin coming right out with everything that we're thinking.
Bro, I've said DJ sucked since he was at Clemson, bro. He was not a good quarterback at Clemson. I remember that game against Wake Forest where I think, did it go to overtime or almost went to overtime, something like that? Bro, that Clemson team was not good with him. He's terrible. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
All good. Yeah, I guess, I mean, point being is that you can definitely see where this team, where the foundation is with this Michigan State team. I mean, there's definitely something there. It just, the talent is there. They just need to get molded into something more mature, and they'll get there. For sure, they'll get there. They'll probably have a couple of solid drives against Oregon. I could see them scoring double digits. I don't think it's going to be 2 touchdowns. I think that, you know, this is a night game at Oregon, excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and
look what I started. I ruined it for you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Justin. I've got 35-10 Oregon. I do actually think Oregon, I mean, somebody said that they're overrated. I think that they're really good, but I do actually kind of think that they're a little bit overrated, just a little bit. But I still think I still think that they're going to blow out Michigan State. So I'm 35-10 Oregon.
Okay.
Well, they are right now clinging on to second place in the Big Ten, just barely hanging on to it. So if the Big Ten championship were this weekend, it would be Ohio State, Oregon,
and that's what it's going to be.
I'm leaning a lot more towards Ohio State than I was to start the season on that, because Oregon, there's a fine threshold, right, when we talk about elite teams, and Oregon is still an elite team, but they're not as elite, of course, as we expect to come into the season. I think most people can probably admit that, even Oregon fans.
Yeah, I was going to say it. I mean, some of the concerns with like the offensive and defensive lines being a little bit small. I mean, admittedly, I haven't been watching like every down of an Oregon game this year just yet, but some of the scores and some of the stuff that I've been seeing, just that kind of actually looks like it might be the case. Like the offensive line isn't quite as elite as we thought that they were going to be. Yeah. And then, I mean, their defense still looks really good, but that Oregon State game, that was just weird, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, their offensive line has a lot of mental lapses. They're not necessarily playing great, executing great as a unit. And that's the biggest thing. They may have individual contributors that are doing well in their part, but it's just putting it together has been the issue for them for sure. And that could do partially be to, the size and the, some of the physicality they're going to face too in the Big Ten will be interesting to see.
Yeah. And I guess I meant the Boise State game, not the Oregon State game. But yeah, I mean that Boise State game, they gave up 34 points to them. That's just kind of crazy to me, to be honest.
They've been getting run on for sure, and that's what I'm excited to see. I think Michigan State can exploit that a little bit because Adams or Lynch, Adams, and Carter have looked decent in the run game so far. So if they can exploit that a little bit, that's where I think they might hang around for a half. But yeah, I know Oregon's going to pick on the MSU secondary. It is slightly better than it was last year. They still got a lot of room for improvement in the back end of the defense.
Yeah. Well, now, this is what I always think is fun about picking scores. Now, obviously, there's some science to picking scores. There's a lot of guesswork in picking scores. But you guys let's see, our high here is 42-14. The low is 33-17. So Boris Werner here is going 24-15. So he's dropping it 2 more scores lower than what you guys had. But then we also have PSU Jim has going a score over Rob at 49-10.
Oh, man.
Wow. Yeah, welcome to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys think there's any chance that it's going to go that high?
I mean, I think with Oregon, anything's a possibility. If they put it together one week, they could drop 50 on anybody, in my opinion. So I think they always have that explosion week in their arsenal. I just don't think they've executed to the level that they need to, especially in the trenches, to be able to do that in a Big Ten game.
Yeah. All right, let's go to our next game then. Let's see. Currently, the Lions. Oh, hey. Oh, no, that's a different game. Man, they've got 2 scores going on the screen. So it's still 0-0.
Lions down to 4, though.
Oh, here we go.
Gibbs got down to the 4, yep.
Yep. Oh, Justin, you're ahead of me. Don't say anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll shut up. Sorry.
All right. Well,
come on.
I
need Montgomery to score first. I can't have this. I can't have Jahmyr Gibbs scoring.
That means Gibbs is going to score.
I got to win my coin, man.
I mean, normally in the normal world, Montgomery would get the touchdowns.
Well, he did last week, and it made me $10.
That's how it goes. Gibbs will do the work, and they'll give the Montgomery touchdowns. But
that is how it goes.
Yeah.
I remember when the Lions were getting ripped for drafting Gibbs so high, and I'm like, nope, he's gonna be a star. You just watch.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. So our next game is Iowa at number 3 Ohio State. This one has a spread of 20 points, 20.5. With the total being 44.5, so a little bit tighter. Although Ohio State is at 89.8% according to the FBI to win this game. Iowa is sitting at 3-1. Ohio State is sitting at 4-0. Let's Rob. Let's go back to you. That's working out well going around that way. What have you got for that game?
So this could possibly be Ohio State's, first true test. I mean, other than Oregon. Iowa always has a good defense that keeps them in the game. One thing to note is Iowa was ranked number 1 in production. I think they returned 19 out of 22 starters. But again, like their offense, seems to be lacking. They have a check down. Is Cade healthy now? Is he playing? I haven't been able to watch Iowa that much.
Oh, I'm not sure actually.
Okay. Touchdown, David Montgomery.
Are you sure? I'm still looking at 3rd and goal. Now
it's happening. It's about to happen.
Now I saw a touchdown.
FanDuel just logged it.
I was like, how'd you get ahead of me?
Yeah,
give me my money.
But
sorry, Rob.
Like always, Iowa keeps close to the defense. They just don't have the offense. Check down Cade is playing. So check down Cade is playing. He's obviously he's not that good. Iowa's offense, they just they've wasted a lot of years where they had a really good defense, but their offense just wasn't up to par. I mean, I said that on the last couple shows, actually a couple shows ago, where if Iowa at least had a top 20 offense, they'd be a contender like almost every year.
They would have been in the playoff last year.
Yeah. So I think that Iowa keeps it close about the mid third, and then Ohio State just starts pulling away. But I have Ohio State winning this 32-17.
Ooh, all right. Giving Iowa 17 points. Well, I guess they have been scoring more points this year, haven't they? A little bit more than usual, anyway.
That's interesting.
All right, Peter, you're up next. What do you got?
Man alive. I see this game kind of going similar to how the 2022 game went in the Horseshoe with the CJ Stroud-led offense. I think we had 10 points at the break, and then we ended the game with 54. We won't quite score that much. It was 54-10 final, I think, and Buckeye fans were tweeting at halftime. Trust me. But then they took care of business in the second half. Caleb Johnson is an explosive back. I think it's between him and Quinshon for who is the best back in the Big Ten, in my opinion. He's a phenomenal tailback. And it's maybe not so interesting stat, but kind of expected. 3 of the top 5 pass catchers of the Hawkeye offense are tight ends. I think that's probably true every year, it seems.
Very on brand.
Yes. Luke Lachey leading the pack of the 3 tight ends. They're doing what they're doing. They're playing Iowa football. Different offensive coordinator, same results because it's Kirk Ferentz at the top of the food chain. And I think he just wanted to take some heat off his son. So the Hawkeyes probably don't stand much of a chance in the Horseshoe on Saturday. Although I do respect Iowa's defense, they're not playing, I think, as well as they did last year, in my humble opinion. Maybe that's not backed up by stats. I definitely want to hear from Justin on that. Just see what their defense is grading out at. But I think this one is probably 44-9 when all things are considered. I do not have the Hawkeyes reaching the end zone in this football contest. So Buckeyes won it nicely, 44-9.
44-9. All right.
So can I call out like someone in the comment section real quick? It's not anything bad. So
Sure.
Borges Warner said a couple comments ago that, I think he said that Ohio State was going to beat Oregon, but then he picked Iowa to beat Ohio State. So, I mean, that's kind of like lopsided, but go on.
All right, Justin, you're up next. What do you got?
Yeah, so I saw a stat earlier about Ohio State. So they have they're third in the FBS in yards per carry, and they are already at half of their rushing total from all of last season. So that'll put it in perspective just how good Ohio State's rushing offense has been. Jeremiah Smith has been incredible, of course. The thing about Iowa, their offensive line is incredible. Go figure, no surprise there. But Ohio State hasn't been far off in terms of just how they've graded out against. It's very, very similar in terms of, I mean, Ohio State's a couple of numbers below Iowa in terms of their offensive line. So Ohio State's offensive line has been incredible. Thing about it is just simply Ohio State is a 2-dimensional offense. They can do more things and they can put more stress on the defense. And Iowa's defense, to your point, when looking at their numbers, they haven't been tackling as good. Their pass rush isn't there. They're, great in coverage, but their run defense is, the pass defense is better than the run defense, and they've also given up more explosive plays than they had all of last season. So, there are a few things there in terms of the nuances of Iowa's defense, but overall, just systematically as a defense, they're still good in terms of just limiting, overall offense. If they do bend, they don't break very often. They stick to what they know. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't beat themselves. That is Iowa football. As long as Ohio State comes out and plays their game, I think they should win this pretty handedly. I'm thinking more so in the probably, I'm going to say 38. I'm going 38 again, maybe 35. So let me just go 38. Go 30. I don't want to go the same score as last time, but let's go 38-17 Ohio State. I think Caleb Johnson's able to run. a decent amount, but again, just certain nuances to Iowa's offense that Tim Lester can't do because of personnel limitations. And so he's not going to be able to stress this Ohio State offense, our defense. Ohio State's defense has too many athletes. You're going to have to get them out of position somehow. It's hard to get them out of position if you can't throw the football. So, yeah, I think Ohio State wins this one.
38-17. Yeah. PSU Jim here says the only way to stop Buckeyes offense is to dominate the LOS. Few, if any, teams can do it. Michigan was able to the last years, but are not there anymore.
I mean, Iowa can dominate the line of scrimmage. I just don't think they can dominate it more. I don't think they can dominate Ohio State at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
The battle in the trenches is definitely something I'm looking forward to seeing in this game in regards to the Michigan game, actually, because Iowa is that physical pounding, one-dimensional type of offense with lesser athletes. But if Iowa can run on us again, that'll give me a little pause for concern. But we will see. Caleb Johnson's a great bag, so hopefully the Buckeyes contain him.
Yeah, and one thing I will say that is as the season's gone along, Iowa has gotten worse in a lot of aspects. Like their tackling has gotten worse against Troy. It was rated a 58 last week, 65 after coming off an 82 in week 1. Pass rush was the worst it was last week. Run defense was the worst it had been there's a lot, and a lot of that has to do with competition as well. But I mean, they lost to Iowa State and graded out worse against Minnesota. So there are some things happening there too that are just kind of really inconsistent on their defense as well. So
this is actually kind of interesting. So I'm looking at the season stats right now. OSU has 1,231 passing yards. Iowa has 590. But then they're about even on the rushing yards, 1,001 for Iowa, 909 for Ohio State.
Yep.
So it looks like Ohio State has a fairly balanced pass run, and Iowa is obviously favoring the rush.
Yep. That's the thing is Iowa's run offense is not significantly better than Ohio State's, if better at all. I don't think they're better at all. I think Ohio State's is better. And that's all they have offensively. So and not only that, Ohio State has multiple guys they can run out there. Iowa's got one guy. If you can, wear him down or take him out of the game, good luck.
Yeah. All right, Mac, what do you got?
Yeah, I guess for me, it kind of comes down to these are two teams that just feel like they're on completely different wavelengths strength wise. Like Ohio State is just overall the stronger team, in my opinion. And I don't literally mean physically speaking. I just mean they're fundamentally, I think, more sound and they have way more talent and are capable of doing far more with the talent that they have than somebody score. What happened? Pick.
Lions are about to. Just wanted to give you a heads up since you were talking.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Look, so I'm looking at Caleb Johnson right now, and I think he is quite obviously the biggest weapon that Iowa has on offense. He's got an 8.4 yards per carry average. That's good. I mean, can they do it against Ohio State? I don't know. But the way that Iowa beats Ohio State is that. I mean, they're going to have to run the ball. Check down Cade is going to have to be checking down pretty efficiently. They're going to need to hit these little chunk plays, like the 8 to 10 to 12 range sometimes, but then making sure that they average at least 4 or 5 yards a down. And if they can do that, if they can keep Ohio State's defense on the field, then maybe they can actually start to wear them down. The strength part of it, though, is I don't think that Iowa can last 60 minutes, even if they played a fundamentally sound game and actually played well at that. I don't think that Iowa has the talent or the means to be able to go a full 60 minutes against this Ohio State team right now. Crazy things could happen. I mean, Will Howard threw an interception against Michigan State, and I think Michigan State actually ended up turning it into a touchdown. So, I mean, you can't turn the ball over against Iowa, and Iowa will force some turnovers on you too. So that would be an interesting thing to watch. My thing is, though, I think Ohio State might actually end up being a little bit conservative in this game, and it's probably going to rely on the running game quite a bit because of it. So I could actually see this being kind of low scoring, but I say low scoring in terms of an Ohio State game is, they're still putting up 30 points. But I think that's probably what it's going to be, is somewhere around like a 34 or a 30-14 final score. I could see Iowa getting a pick six. I could see Caleb Johnson breaking one. But I don't think that if you're talking a full 60 minutes that Iowa is going to be able to establish anything substantive.
Yeah, I would literally, they have to win this game, they have to shorten the game as much as possible and just try to get to as many third downs offensively as they can and convert those. And that's their recipe. They just got to limit Ohio State, how many times Ohio State touches the ball, and be efficient with their offense. I just don't know if they're capable of doing that. But yeah, it's a good point.
That's a padlock stat for me then, is whichever team converts the most third downs wins this game. And I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to be Ohio State.
It could, and that very much could be, but Ohio State also can score explosively. So I think Ohio State can win without being on the field for more third downs because they have that explosive ability. But Iowa's, their only hope is to wear you down because they're not going to beat you with explosive plays. So they have to basically control time of possession and kill the clock, limit possessions, and just try to get to as many, like I said, get to as many third downs as convert them as you can and just sustain those drives for sure.
I also think that JJ Smith is going to keep emerging as possibly the nation's best wide receiver. So
that's true. This Jeremiah Smith kid is unreal.
Crazy.
2 one-handed catches on one drive, and the second one was for a touchdown. I mean, you've got to be kidding me.
Was he the guy I think I saw in the previews where he jumped up about 6 feet in the air, did the one-handed catch, pulled it in, and then fell to the ground?
Yeah, that was him.
Man? Yeah, that's amazing.
The kid's a true freshman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was the highest rated wide receiver recruit since I think Julio Jones.
Looks it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, he's smashing Ohio State freshman records so far, and even though him and Emeka Buka have similar stats, he has a lot more touchdowns. So they have similar receptions, similar yards, but JJ's getting in the end zone. That's amazing to see. I mean, the freshman touchdown record at Ohio State is 8, set by Chris Carter, I think it was, and he's already got 5. So through 4 games. So
wow,
he's going to break that.
I think JSN, though, if he would have played as a true freshman, could have definitely shattered that because he was really good.
He's pretty phenomenal too. Yeah.
Let me ask you guys something though. So I'm curious what you think. In years past, the thing with Iowa's defense is that they were so fundamentally sound and so good at keeping the play in front of them that you really couldn't break explosive plays. The only thing that you could do is play the game that Iowa wanted to play, but you had to play it better. And that was something that you saw in 2019 with Michigan. We went to that game and it ended 10-7. Why did it end 10-7? Because Iowa and Michigan were playing the same game. They were both running the freaking ball and turning over or throwing interceptions after interception. So there was no big plays to be spoken of. It was just Michigan was better on the ground that day, better in the trenches. If Iowa's defense can play that type of game, and if they're strong enough to play that type of game, I'm thinking Ohio State ends up wanting to play a little bit more conservative, used Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson a little bit more. Do you guys think Iowa could possibly do that with this year's roster?
Are you talking about like keeping it close until the end, or I mean they could do that, but I think if they can't do drives, like long drives on offense to keep their defense fresh, I think that wears off a bit, and that's where the pull comes in play.
Yeah. They'll need to force a couple turnovers for that to happen, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, now looking at the scores from the chat, Max77 is going for the over here. He's got Ohio State 45 and Iowa 10, which is getting close to Peter's guess there.
Sure.
Penn State Jim, who I'm now realizing was actually in the comments section on our Penn State Illinois review, and had some great comments too. I know we were having some trouble with Penn State fans who were just kind of cranky that anybody would call against them, but Penn State Jim here actually, I mean, he disagreed, but he had good reasons for disagreeing, so appreciated that from him. Thanks a lot, PSU Jim. And then, okay, going back to the one that Rob pointed out. Yeah, Boris Warner has Iowa winning 22-19.
How do you get to 22? Trying to do the math. So weird score.
That would be a tough one. Yeah.
2 touchdowns.
19's hard to get too.
Yeah.
That's true.
2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and a safety.
All right. Easy route to that.
Yeah.
Put
The
it
other
on
one, you
the-
need 4
on the
field goals and a
mark
touchdown for 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, before we go to our next game, the Lions did in fact score. It is 14-0 now, and the second quarter just started. Maybe they're a few seconds into that one.
Holy crap, they did? I didn't even see it.
No, it was.
Yeah.
You saw the score bro.
after the interception.
It said
they
14-0.
Yeah, they scored again. Jameer Gibbs ran it in. They had marked him short. The original on the touchdown run, the defensive touchdown, it wasn't a touchdown. They marked him at like the 11 or 12, and then Jameer Gibbs punched it in.
Okay.
I got you.
All right.
Well, I need Kenneth Walker to score a touchdown, so I'm actually kind of
Well,
hoping that
you're
Seattle
asking for
can
a
get on
whole
the board.
lot right now.
Well, that's kind of the point. If I'm going to give FanDuel my money, I need them to give me something in return, like more money.
Yeah, that's true. I have Tua as my quarterback, so I'm a little upset of fantasy football. I have Cup, Tua,
Yeah.
Tyreek, Tank Dell. Tank Dell's hurt. Tua's out. Tyreek suffers because of that. Cooper Cup's out. Yeah, it's been rough, dude.
Yeah.
It's been rough.
I didn't even get to play fantasy football. See, I usually play fantasy football with my wife every year, and Dad and my mom, and actually even Grandma joins us every once in a while. And nobody decided to play with me. Yeah, nobody decided to play with me this year.
No one either. You're beating up on your family, bro.
Yeah, man.
Excuse
Dynasty.
me.
I went
No,
exclusively to
Actually,
Dynasty.
his wife usually wins.
My wife wins every single year. We have played.
I mean,
5
fantasy.
times.
That's true. Fantasy, you never know.
Yeah, I won in terms of my fantasies with my wife. My wife wins fantasy football every freaking year, and it is annoying the crap out of me.
I've exclusively gone to Dynasty, so you won't find my wife playing Dynasty. It's way too much management required.
You got to learn a lesson from Garrison tonight. Let the woman win.
Yeah, and if you haven't played Dynasty fantasy football, do it. It's a blast.
Can I play it now? Like, can you still join?
If I kick somebody out of my league.
Oh,
But it's
I
year
didn't-
round. It's year round. Basically, what you do is you draft from the entire NFL. It's your original draft, and then each year that's your team. You can trade draft picks, and you draft out of the rookie pool each year. And so you And
that's
so
pretty
your team
cool.
is your team. So you got to have a strategy to draft like young. You can't just draft like old players. Like you got to have a combination of youth. It makes it, it's a whole different element to it. And like I said, you can trade draft picks from the rookie drafts. So
You're doing that through where?
Sleeper app on fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
have to
gotta
check
try
that out.
that.
Yeah.
Blast, man.
We'll have to
That's
start like
fun.
a team rivalry fantasy league
do it.
or something too. That would be sweet.
I'm
Yeah,
down.
that'd be awesome.
All right.
All right, our next game. Now, this one isn't ranked, but I want to bring it in anyway because Justin is faithfully on here every week. So I thought we got to talk Nebraska. It just makes sense.
Let's go.
So
Not
Rutgers
really.
is going up against Nebraska this week. Rutgers is 4-0 and 1-0 in the conference. Nebraska is 4-1, 1-1 in the conference. The
So
spread
4-0 in our hearts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The spread on this is pretty tight, 6.5 points with the over-under at 43.5. Nebraska has a 65.9% chance to win this game, according to the FPI, not the FBI. I don't know what they have to do with it.
They're watching our football
But you
games
never
now?
know. They
Hopefully
might be.
nothing on Nebraska's side because that would be bad.
The NSA gets involved and it's a huge mess. All right, let's go around the table again. I want to go back to Rob. Rob, what's your pick for this game? What do you see happening?
All right,
And again,
so
actually, before you start, let me just say, anybody in the chat who wants to put up their scores, please do so. Okay, go ahead, Rob.
So, I had okay expectations for Nebraska, but now because seeing how good Dylan Raiola has been, how brilliant he has, he's a freshman phenom at the quarterback position. I think that they're ahead of schedule, and even though Greg Schiano, and he's really turned that program around, the Rutgers program around. I still think that Nebraska wins this game, and I think it's going to be about, I'm going to say 27 to, I'm going to say 27-21.
Ooh, okay. Tight game, sticking with the spread. All right. Peter, let's go over to you. What do you got?
This is a game, if I was a betting man, I would not touch, because I have this being a very close, very tight game, just like the Illinois-Nebraska game was. Very competitive, very entertaining to watch. Rutgers with their bruising, rushing attack with Monungai. He reminds me, honestly, a lot of Mullins. He's just a bruising back. Doesn't have elite speed, but has good speed. He's phenomenal. And Kelly McManus is taking care of the football. He has a 7-1 touchdown to interception ratio, which I was very shocked to see, because it was not that great at Minnesota, at least in the touchdown to interception ratio factor. But Raiola turns it on. I think the Nebraska one-score game-hating god shines some favor finally on the Huskers. They pull out a close one, 27-24 Huskers. They defend Memorial Stadium, and they make Husker Nation proud and advance to 5-1.
I like it.
27-21?
24.
24. 24-21? 27-24.
27-24.
27-24. All right.
Nebraska.
Did you guys get your numbers straight? Dang.
We got to line these things up. All right, Justin. What do you got?
So, I agree. So with the line, I was surprised the line is as big as it was. When coming into the season, when I was doing Nebraska's schedule prediction, coming into the offseason, I actually had Rutgers projected as our first loss. But I said Illinois and Rutgers would be our two toughest games in that stretch. Indiana looks tough now, but Rutgers, a little bit, I've come around a little bit. Rutgers is kind of who I expect them to be. Nebraska's a little bit better than I expect them to be in the offensive, on the offensive side of the game. Now, the way Rutgers is going to beat you, though, like looking at what they did against Washington had 521 total yards, 314 passing yards, 207 rushing yards, and averaged almost 8 yards per play and lost the game. Guys, a Rutgers game for you, right? Because Rutgers went 7 of 15 on third down. Washington went 2 for 12. Rutgers punted 7 times. Washington punted twice, and Rutgers won the game. Washington had opportunities, though. They missed one for 4 in field goals. Not only that, Washington blocked a Rutgers field goal, but then they said there was 12 people on the field. So then Rutgers ended up getting a touchdown. There's opportunities there. The one thing about Nebraska, we can't take advantage of the field goal thing. We can't kick field goals to save our life. We cannot hit a field goal. We don't have a field goal kicker. I see NFL kickers kicking from 70. We can't hit from 35. So there's that one downside that's going to hurt us. But the thing about Rutgers that Nebraska is going to have to do is Rutgers is going to play complementary football, and the way their offensive coordinator Kirk Soroka, he was over at Minnesota with Ethan Kalik Manis in 2022. Of course, he's been at Rutgers the last couple of years, but his approach, right? He's all about ball execution and violence. When he talks about ball, it's taking care of the football. When he's talking about execution, it's alignment, assignment, and technique. When he's talking about violence, it's finishing the play. You're either engaged in the block, you're chasing the play, or you're leading the play, right? Somebody's got to be doing something. That's kind of how they wear you down. It's complementary football. What they like to do is they like to attack with, of course, Kyle Monungai, but everything off of that looks exactly the same. When you're running outside zone, right? And then when you run kind of a play action pass off of that, everything looks identical to the outside zone, right? It's manipulating the numbers in the box. And that's what he likes to do. If he wants to be at an advantage. So if you got 7 in the box and we got 6 blockers, well, okay, I'm going to run a little route to the outside, an RPO to the outside, right? It's just about advantages, getting you out of position, and it's coaching as the game goes along. And that's what they're very good at is just kind of scheming as the game goes along. Nebraska is going to have to make adjustments. They weren't able to make those against Illinois. Illinois did a lot of good things, a lot of the same things, schemed Nebraska out of position and a lot of eyes and put Nebraska's second level on their heels. So that's what's going to come down to is can Nebraska scheme it up to where Rutgers can't put them on their heels, or are they going to be able to pin their ears back and do what they do, go after the quarterback, put some pass rush on and stop the run? That's going to be the question here. I think the Illinois game was a very good learning lesson for Nebraska, and I think that's going to help them in this Rutgers game because it taught them a lot about the eye discipline and knowing, what kind of combo plays they can run off of, because Illinois already had a play set up ready to go. The problem with Nebraska's offense, there's not much of an offensive identity in terms of what kind of running team are we going to be. Do we want to be a power run team? Do we rotate our 4 backs? Do we stick with Dante Dowdle, right? So Rutgers has an offensive system and an offensive approach. They're going to find soft spots in the zone. They're going to, if you play press man, they're going to hit a go route on you. Or if you play heavy inside, they're going to hit a back shoulder throw on you. If you're off corner, they're going to hit you with something quick hitting. If you're a corner that's hard inside, they're going to hit you with a double move, right? So it's going to be, in terms of Nebraska, they just have to be fundamentally sound and do their job. Each person needs to stick to their assignment on the defensive side of the ball. If they can do that, they can limit this Rutgers offense and they can win the game. Again, get off the field on third down. That was the recipe for Rutgers in this game. 7 of 15 on third down for Rutgers, 2 of 12 for Washington. That is going to be the deciding factor in this game for sure. I think Nebraska's got enough of a complex offense to be able to do more offensively than Rutgers can, and I think that's just going to put a little more strain on Rutgers' defense. And ultimately, I think Nebraska will pull this one out. But yeah, I'm going to say 27. Let me go 27-21.
27-21. Now, you had said, I remember right after the Illinois game, I think part of your post review on the Illinois game was that Nebraska was not very well disciplined. They weren't gelling as a team. Have you seen them improve over the last 2 games? Or I'm sorry, the last game?
Yeah, actually, and I saw it come specifically through on one play when John Bullock's interception, his pick 6. They were running Tampa 2, which is a variation of cover 2. Tampa 2 is where basically the deep middle linebacker, middle linebacker gets the middle of the field, the deep middle, right? Because typically cover 2, you have 2 deep halves, so the middle of the field's open, right? So they like to attack the middle of the field. So basically the way it worked is you have 3 linebackers across normally, you have 4 down linemen, you have press man on the outsides. And essentially what Purdue did was they wanted to run a running back out of the backfield and be able to take John Bullock, who was the left linebacker, down so they can throw it over top of his head. Now, he saw that play on film, or the coaches that saw that play on film and had him, ready for it. And basically he knew as soon as that happened, they were going to throw that route. And that is some of the stuff that they saw, John Bullock being a step to the right. I saw that about 3 or 4 times against Illinois in third downs, where he's just, he literally takes a step in because you had to be there to potentially stop the run because they were running the ball the way they wanted to against us. And then by the time he realized it and stepped back, he's out of position, but they know he's out of position because they're expecting him to bite on that play action, right? And so that happened against Purdue. However, Purdue didn't have the same attack or the ability to attack the defense that Nebraska had. So that's why I think it showed up well against Purdue, but until we see it against a team who can take advantage of it, then I'll know for sure. And that's the one question for me this week.
I'm seeing here that the series between Rutgers and Nebraska, this is the 7th time they played, and right now Nebraska has won all 6 games.
Got to keep it going.
So there's a positive for you.
Got to keep it going. I don't know. I can't remember the last time we had a winning streak against the team, to be honest.
I know. Well, and only one of those games, so the very first game is 1920, but the rest of them are from 2014 to now.
Yeah.
So that's all modern era stuff. So, yeah.
And Anthony Grant in 2023, our running back in 2023, I don't know if y'all remember that, but he basically knocked that Rutgers player unconscious on the sideline where he lowered his shoulder into him. I don't know if y'all remember that.
I don't know.
I had him on my show and I interviewed him about it. And he basically was just like, he's like, I saw him. It's going to be him or me. And yeah, so it's always a nice, like fun physical game though against Rutgers.
Oh, yeah.
I love Rutgers as a team. I love Schiano. That New Jersey style, even in the high school ranks, if you watch high school film of the New Jersey kids, it's physical, just like Rutgers. That's where they get that identity from.
Oh yeah. Well, that makes sense. That's like a New Jersey stereotype too.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, is it?
They've definitely adopted the bully ball style of Big Ten play, and that's impressive. And they are not the slogs of the Big Ten anymore. So anybody who thinks that is that's a really outdated opinion now. UCLA is taking their place.
Yep. I will say I went on the college huddle this offseason. I think I was the only person that had Shiano top 5 in my Big Ten coach power rankings. So
wow.
He really is a phenomenal coach.
Give myself flowers there.
All right. So while we were talking, the Seattle Seahawks did score. So it is now 14-7 Detroit. And they're about to do a kickoff. All right, Mac, what do you got? Rutgers or Nebraska?
I got a Kenneth Walker III touchdown. So now all I need is Devon Achane from Miami to score a touchdown. And your boy is going to win $27.
$27. Great.
$27.
You can take us out for coffee, I guess.
Sure. One coffee for everybody.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if
regular
coffee nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
Might
I was
not
gonna
even
like
get
a
you
regular coffee. Nobody's getting lattes or anything.
No, of course not. No.
Nothing bougie like that. Just as Justin, while you were talking, I was looking at the drive breakdown of the Rutgers Washington game on ESPN, and I noticed something kind of funny. So Washington's first drive, 9 plays, 38 yards, 5 minutes and 3 seconds. It's over on downs. Second drive is 10 plays, 69 yards, field goal. Third drive is 6 plays, 53 yards, missed field goal. Three plays, 8 yards, punt, and then end of half. Next is downs. Finally, they get a touchdown, 6 play, 94 yards. Then 3 play, 7 yards, punt, missed field goal, touchdown, missed field goal. So I'm just looking at that and I'm thinking, okay, Washington actually should have won this game. Washington is a team that got down into the red zone, or at least close to it, a couple of times and couldn't put it away. I mean, they couldn't even kick the field goals.
And they blocked Rutgers' field goal, and they called 12 men on the field. I don't even know if it was legitimately 12 men on the field, and then Rutgers scored a touchdown out of that too. So there's also add that to it, and you take a Rutgers touchdown away. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, not again, but you guys all said it. Like, I love Greg Schiano. I think he's an amazing coach. He's definitely someone that can take not a ton of talent and make a good football team out of it. But Washington should have won this game. Washington made too many mistakes down towards the red zone. I mean, seriously, if they make just one of those missed field goals, then the game is tied and they go to OT. So I think Nebraska is a lot more sound of a team. I understand that the kicking game right now isn't everything that they want it to be, but Nebraska's at home. Nebraska, I think, has a stronger offense, or at least a better offensive identity with Dylan Raiola. I could see them being a lot more successful against this Rutgers defense. I think that Rutgers kind of got lucky with this victory. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm thinking this is probably a Nebraska 24-10 situation. Mm-hmm. I think Nebraska holds Rutgers offense a little bit better than Washington did. It's kind of wild to me that Washington can get that far down the field that efficiently and then just, I don't know, crash and burn.
It's a different game between the 20s. And when you go against a physical team, that red zone gets a lot tougher because that box gets a lot tighter, you know.
But Nebraska's been playing that physical game for a lot longer than Washington. Well, at least that Big Ten physicality 100%. Anyway, a lot longer than Washington has. And so maybe Washington's just not ready for it. I don't know. I guess we'll see this week.
But I agree with you. The two ways this game goes are like, I think if it's a multiple score win, it's only Nebraska. Rutgers wins close. I don't think Rutgers can beat Nebraska by multiple scores. I think Nebraska can beat Rutgers by multiple scores, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Nebraska either wins this game by a couple of scores or they lose this game by 1 score. And maybe that's kind of been Nebraska's thing for a little bit now, but I see this more on the side of they win this by a couple of scores. So yeah, I still think this is a 24-10 situation. I think that Rutgers still has a good defense, but Nebraska's just stronger.
Yeah.
You're calling 24-10, you said?
Yeah, 24-10 Nebraska. Also, I saw Rob had to leave, so bye, Rob.
And just another thing too about the Purdue-Nebraska game. Nebraska had over 200 yards to Purdue's 80 by halftime.
Mm-hmm.
We missed 3 field goals, or 2 or 3 in the first half, and then also had a phantom touchdown called back because they called a pick play. Basically, what had happened was Ryan Walters was on the sideline and alerted the ref, hey, watch out, beware of this potential pick play, because he saw the formation we were in. And Fedoni ran it perfectly. Basically, Fedoni was running across and he moved his shoulder out of the way so he wouldn't make contact. The defender was anticipating contact and he just ended up tripping over himself. And so the ref saw the guy fall down, but didn't actually see any contact made and called it. But if you go back and look, they made zero. They didn't even brush shoulders, no contact. And they called that back too. So the score could have been, in Nebraska game, could have been a lot different as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I feel like it's little things like that the score of the Washington-Rutgers game really should have been different. Washington absolutely should have won that game and didn't, because they shot themselves in the foot, almost literally, with those field goals.
Yes.
And then Nebraska really should have beaten Purdue by a little bit more than they did. But
to Jim's point, Jim, that is true. That's why I'm just trying to take what I can away from that game, for sure. I know I'm not taking much from it, but it's just I have to try to take what I can from it.
Just real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to Jackson Johnson. Today is his birthday. He's
Happy
out
birthday.
there.
Happy birthday, Jackson.
Jackson's a big friend of the show. We love having him on. Hope he has a good day out there. All right, Mac, you were all set there, right?
Yep. All good.
Right. Okay, looking at the picks from the chat, let's see. Max 77, it's the same group of guys. All right, Max 77 has Rutgers and Nebraska will be a really good game. Rutgers 35-28 in OT.
I can't do no more overtime games.
I was about to say.
That was rough.
Is there anything that Nebraska fans hate more than overtime?
One-score games. But I guess the two go hand in hand. And turnovers.
Turnovers. And Iowa's corn.
And life. Yeah.
Life.
PSU Jim has 28-24 Nebraska. Rutgers will keep it close. And then
Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown. Lions up 21-7.
Come on, dude.
Let's go.
Orzar has 32-17 Nebraska. So there you go.
I like it.
That's good.
That's a good score there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There we go. 21-7.
Yeah. Like I said, Rutgers is kind of who I thought they would be at this point in the season. I just think Nebraska's a little further ahead offensively than I thought they would be. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to our next game. We have number 10 Michigan at Washington. And I lost. There it is. This one is close. Now, okay, so the really weird thing about this one is, first of all, that Michigan moved up 2 points in the AP poll. A lot of guys are attributing that to the USC win was a much better win than we thought it was, which helped them out. And I think somebody in the top 10 lost too. Was that Ole Miss?
Utah.
Ole Miss lost.
Ole Miss lost.
Oh, Utah lost too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. It was a late game.
So that benefited Michigan, but then the weird thing about this is that the spread on this one is 2 points in Washington's favor. Washington's favored by 2, which is bizarre. And then the over-under is 41.5. Right now, the FPI has Washington at 57.9% to win this game. Peter, let's go to you. What do you got?
Well, it's interesting because I'm slightly surprised that Washington is favored. I mean, Michigan does have a history of not traveling great on the West Coast, as do my Buckeyes. You know, Rose Bowls, except for this last year for Michigan, and I've not been kind to the Big Ten best team over the years and over the history. But rematch in the national title game that probably not too many people will tune into, to be honest, which is, both teams are a little bit have lost their luster from last year, I would say. But Will Rogers is performing well for the Huskies. He has 10 touchdowns on the season. He has not thrown an interception yet. He is really taking care of the football, but also making plays. And Jed Fish is using him quite well. I'm impressed with his performance so far on the season. And then I know I've done a little bit of Alex Orji bashing on this channel, but he's got a 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio right now. So salute. That is it is only 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, but
I was gonna say because he's literally thrown 3 touchdowns and 1 interception.
It's better. It's
not
better
really a
than-
ratio; it's a stats, I guess.
It's better than 3 interceptions to 1 touchdown, I guess.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, that was.
But we're not
one-
talking about Davis Warren. Right
Yeah,
now.
I noticed that too, and thought about bringing it up, but no, it's interesting. I mean, like I said, these teams are not quite the same teams that they were last year. Husky Stadium is a cool venue. They've got the beautiful boats out there to tailgate in, but the Husky defense just is not quite physical and ready for Big Ten play, in my humble opinion. I think Michigan will be able to continue to dominate on the ground. Khalil Mullins continues to maul fools and just make them cry as he hits the hole and bashes into them. He really is a phenomenal bag. I don't know what it is about turning these linebackers and running backs, but you got something with that. And
it's true, actually.
It will be interesting to see how the Buckeyes can contain them later on in the season. But I do have Michigan winning this game. I think Washington is just not playing quality football right now. To Mac's point, they probably should have won in New Jersey last weekend, but they didn't find a way to. And under this new coach Fish, it's going to be interesting how they perform in these close games. And I know he used to be at Michigan and he did really well at Arizona, but I don't know much about him as a in-game coach and how he handles the pressure of the game. If he starts changing things up, kind of like a James Franklin, freezing in the big moments, I don't know if that's him or not yet. So I can't really comment on that too much. But I think that the Wolverines take this one. I have a fairly low scoring score as well. Probably, we'll say 27-13. Michigan takes this. It kind of looks like the last couple of weeks. Michigan takes control. I think they dominate in the round, and they plod their way to another victory through the ground game and through defense and through their elite special teams. Doman has looked better in the punting game. He's improved, unless something happened in this last week's game that I missed. But your special teams are very elite, and that's an underrated part of football and that people overlook. And I don't think they should, because Ohio State has suffered for some bad kickers over the last couple of years as well since Jim Tressel has gone. But yeah, Michigan takes this one.
You said 27-13, right?
27-13 Wolverines.
Yeah, I had to at the third quarter of the Minnesota game, I had to post on Twitter that I apologize. I will not get excited about Michigan's first half play for the rest of the season.
You are a ridiculous human being.
I mean, crying out loud, how do they play so well in the first half and then die in the second? That's all I want to know.
Because they're one-dimensional and other teams are making adjustments. That's all it is.
All right.
Just enjoy the game.
No, I refuse.
I won't have fun. No fun, sir.
You were having fun now, aren't you? No fun.
No.
Justin, what do you got?
Yeah, so I kind of understand the spread in this game a little bit. Like I was kind of surprised at first just that Washington was favored. I think the spread itself isn't really, but they also get the bump from being at home a little bit too. So, but this one's so hard to dissect just because, like we said, with the Rutgers Washington game, if you look at the Washington's offensive numbers, they were 100% there. The defense did a decent job, but again, they couldn't get off the field on third down. Michigan's formula to win here is going to get to as many third and shorts as they can. It's just going to be every play needs to be forward, right? No, they can't take any losses. They can't get behind the sticks. Michigan can stay ahead of the chains. I think their physicality can win the day. I think Washington will make this a tough game, but Washington's field goal kicker, of course, is coming off of a 1-for-4 performance. And in a game that points might be hard to come by, and it's a Big Ten game, you're going to have to get, 3 where you can. I think that could ultimately be the difference. Washington, of course, is a much more balanced offense, but Michigan, I just think, has more talent. I think they're better coached, and I just think they kind of have this, almost like this attitude about them that I just think Michigan just kind of, even though they may not be what they were before, Michigan knows kind of what they are under Sherrod Moore and under that tutelage of, what they had under Harbaugh, and they carry a very similar confidence. Even though they're not the same team, they carry a very similar confidence that they are still that team and that they can be that team. And I think that gives them an edge in this game. So I'm going to go 24-21.
Before you get to your part, Mac, I just want to piggyback on that. I fully agree with that. I think if anything has stuck around from the Harbaugh regime, it is the confidence entering a football game. Like, they are mentally strong as a program still, and that has stuck around. And that bodes very well in football, especially in college. My goodness.
Everything.
And so, although it might not look like every Michigan fan wants it to look like, the team still believes in itself.
Yeah.
And that is huge for them.
Absolutely. Well, I think that might actually go to why the first half play is so much better than the second half. I think they're coming out very confident, believing in themselves, and then they're getting punched in the nose early in the third quarter and having to recover.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
Washington can't wear them down, in my opinion. And that's so they can make adjustments, but I think they might be worn down by the time they try to make those adjustments, especially coming off of a hard-fought Rutgers game too.
Yeah.
They're going to be – that was a physical game. They were in a dogfight there.
Yeah. All right, Mac, what do you got?
So I'm kind of just going back through Washington's games and looking at drive breakdowns. And, I mean, they are the definition of an all-or-nothing team.
Yeah.
I mean, they get all the way
Pac-12.
down into the – sorry?
That's Pac-12 for you.
That's Pac-12. Yeah, that's that's Pac-12 at its best, man. I mean, they get down into the red zone a lot, and then they either miss a field goal, fumble the ball, or score a touchdown. That's really it. So I'm seeing, I mean, if you look against Northwestern, they get down into the red zone, it looks like 2 or 3 times, and go down, lose the turnover on downs, miss a field goal, and then here's a touchdown. Okay. Washington State, punt, downs, missed field goal. Against Eastern Michigan, their first 3 possessions all ended in punts. 2 of them were 3 and outs. They had 3 touchdowns in the first half, but then fumbled twice in that game. So literally all or nothing. I mean, they either score a touchdown or they miss a field goal or turn the ball over on downs. I like Jed Fish. I mean, Board Warner said it, like when he was at Michigan, he helped turn Rudock into a really good, really solid quarterback. So I like what Jed Fish can do, but at this point, I just feel like they don't have like enough talent, or maybe not even enough talent, but they're just not fundamentally sound. I mean, they're turning the ball over a lot. And then as soon as they get into the red zone, they don't know what to do. The game plan there is just severely lacking. And that's kind of Pac-12 football too. Honestly, I mean, a lot of Pac-12 teams don't want to go to the red zone because then they can't score. Like, they cannot play football between the or on the wrong side of the 20, or maybe on the good side of the 20, as us Big Ten fans would like to call it.
Especially
we like to be. What's that?
Especially Washington. They were all like explosive plays under Penix last year. Like, it was just big play after big play.
That's why Michigan won the national championship game, was because they kept allowing Washington to get into the red zone. And whenever Washington got into the red zone, it was either a field goal or nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was a field goal, but I mean, so I still believe that Michigan is, I mean, it's like you guys said, Michigan still believes in themselves, and they still have that identity of smash football. They are still tough. They are still very mentally tough. So they're still fundamentally sound enough that they can take a Pac-12 team like Washington on and force them into situations where Washington has to figure out what to do on the wrong side of the 20. Mm-hmm. So Michigan wins this game 28-14, in my opinion, because they're going to freak Washington out. Washington's not, I mean, if Washington thought Rutgers was physical, I mean, just wait for Will Johnson. Just wait for Jair Hill.
Rutgers is very physical. Kyle Monunga is a different beast.
Oh, I know, but I mean, Khalil Mullings, man.
It's not Kyle Monunga. Kyle Monunga is monster.
All right. Well, I'll give you that. But
no, but I get your point. Yeah, Michigan's very physical. I'm just joking.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, no, I get you. But I mean, the point being that, I mean, physicality is Michigan's identity. I mean, Rutgers, they're physical, but I mean, and the Rutgers Michigan game is a very physical game, and that's what makes it so much fun to watch.
Yep.
But even that game, Michigan, in down years has defeated Rutgers fairly soundly at that type of game. Maybe not always reflected that way on the scoreboard, but if you're looking at which team between Rutgers and Michigan is the more physical one, it's usually Michigan, but it's always a good game.
Yeah.
This particular game, I mean, Washington's not going to know what to do once they get down in the red zone. Michigan's going to wear them out. It's going to be Michigan 28-14 because Michigan's just going to hang on to the ball longer, and Khalil Mullings is going to put up 2 scores.
So looking at the picks in the chat, Boris Warner here just likes to pick the odd scores. He's got 2016 Michigan.
2016.
He likes
to mess with everybody.
You think that they're going to hit that many field goals?
Well, Michigan does like their field goals.
That would
no, Washington.
Washington.
Yeah.
That would require 3 field goals.
Yeah.
3 field goals. I
don't know if they've hit 3 all season.
PSU Jim has 35-17 Michigan. Bully ball will prevail.
It's true. I just don't know how Michigan can score 35.
Michigan doesn't want to score 35.
The thing is, too, I still hold firm that USC, that win, like, I still don't think that was a great win. Like, I think it was a good win. I'm sorry, the USC LSU game. I don't think that was a great win for USC. So I think that's the only thing that's hard to gauge for Michigan, because, like, I just don't know how good that USC team they beat was. So I don't, that's the, I think, hard thing for us all, which was the reason I picked them to beat USC. So I think this will be another really interesting tell about just how I think this will show us a lot about Michigan and what they'll be for the rest of the season. I think this is a game that they need to win, and I think they'll prove a lot of people who may be doubting them a little bit wrong.
I mean, USC. Oh, sorry, Peter.
I was just going to ask a question to everybody. I mean, do you think Michigan kind of stays to the plotting way of winning this game, or do you think Alex Orji is kind of, they let him off the leash a little bit? Probably not on the road is my take, but what do you guys think on that one? Do you think Orji will have over 100 yards passing maybe?
I don't think he's on a leash to begin with. I think that he's just not that good at the downfield passing.
But I think, to your point, Peter, I think, like, there is going to be an opportunity when you run the ball this much.
Yeah.
That box is going to get stacked. Those safeties are going to come down. And Nebraska didn't have the ability to beat teams over the top last year, but Iowa did that last year. And that was the one touchdown Nebraska scored in that game. They brought the safeties down. Nebraska beat them over the top. So if you give them ability to do it, they will do it. And I think Michigan's just there. Everybody's so run heavy approach. And I do think that's one of the things about Michigan's physicality that Washington might have to bring more people in the box. That could open up the field for Orji to maybe drop some stuff over. He may not be good at reading the field, but if you can scheme up some move in the pocket, just quick rhythm throws, get a guy coming across, give him a high-low look. Like, if you can scheme it to where he's throwing to open guys, you give it a lot better. You give him a lot better chance, and that at least puts Washington somewhat on their heels.
I said this in the other video we recorded for Voice of College Football, which will come out tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. if anybody's interested. The way I see it, there's 3 reasons why Alex Orji threw that interception against Minnesota. The first being that Alex Orji doesn't have the vision, so he's not seeing downfield properly.
He can't go through his progressions. Yeah.
Well, but he was actually going through his progressions pretty well during that first half. I mean, Sorry?
He can't consistently go through his progressions. I don't think you can formulate a game plan around him being able to do that. Pre-snap and post-snap are 2 different things, and I think he gets a little mixed up on the pre-snap as well. But I think, like, he's just one of I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I'll let you continue.
No. I'm glad you said that, because I mean, the other one that I was thinking was it might be mechanics. Maybe he's just not throwing the ball that well. He's not able to get the deep ball where it needs to be, because the idea with the deep ball is you throw it up, but you got to give the receiver a chance to go and get it, not force them to come back. Yeah. And the receiver, I think it was Colston Loveland on that play, I want to say, had to come back, and he couldn't do it. And then the other reason was because of he's not reading defenses. So the way I kind of look at it is, on that particular play, as soon as the ball snapped, there's chaos all around that line. And Michigan's offensive line is not doing the best at pass blocking right now. Yeah, right. And so Alex Orji, when he's trying to look downfield, he doesn't really have enough time, and he doesn't have the vision and he didn't have enough time to make up for his lack of vision to be able to accurately spot where the receiver was and where the defender was, and then to put the ball where he needed it to be so that it wasn't picked off. Mm-hmm. So to me, that actually might be teachable. That might be fixable. And that might be fixable through, a lot more practice. Sharon Moore said during his press conference today that they're going to practice a little bit more of that particular thing. So maybe that's something that he can practice out of and gain a little bit more knowledge about defenses and understand and anticipate where that coverage is going to be. Yeah. Yeah. It's because he's doing a lot of thinking right now. And that's where I think the rhythm throws will help, right? If you come out there and you just get maybe, come out there on the first drive and just like throw a couple of easy throws for him, some quick outs, something like that, just to get his arm going, get him to see some completions, right? At least spread the field out a little bit on the defensive side of the ball for Washington, make them think about it. And that could open up the door for him. There is a lot of mechanical issues to it, but the thing is, a lot of those mechanical issues also come from him being tight. And when you're thinking as a quarterback, you're not downloading the information and reacting. You need to be reacting. Like you're supposed to, whenever you're rolled out of the pocket, you got to rotate. You got to know where your spot is and rotate to it before the defense gets there. Right. And so there's like nuances like that I think he's late on his rotations. I think he's late just downloading the information. If they can just like get him on a bootleg, roll the pocket a little bit, maybe get him seeing some of those throws. And like you were saying, he's a hard time reading the defense. That's where the rhythm comes in. I think if you beat them over the top, even on like a quick little deep post or something like that, it's just going to have to be something, or take some shots on first, like maybe they'll take a shot on first down, take a deep shot on first down. They're going to be stacking the box on first down. Try to get a little throw over the top on that. Yeah. But when you start, to your point, when you start making him think more and do more, it needs to be schemed up for him. He doesn't need to operate as a quarterback. He needs to operate as an extension of the play calling, essentially. So he's not a field general. Not right now. He's kind of a pawn, and that pawn needs to operate sort of on an if-then statement. If the receiver's open, throw it. Yeah. Look what Altmaier did to Nebraska. Like Luke Altmaier, what he did to Nebraska was schemed up. That was schemed up very, very well. And he executed. He's a better passer, of course, but still, like, that was a lot on how Illinois game plan Nebraska, more than Altmaier just being an amazing quarterback, fitting in tight windows and stuff like that, Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So, there's something to be said for then if Michigan can get a little bit of confidence in Alex Orji, then they can start scheming things up and almost spoon feeding him the offense. Maybe that's just what has to happen. Maybe Michigan's mindset right now, at least from the coaches, is still on JJ McCarthy. Like, you just say, JJ, like, all we want is for you to just go score a touchdown, go figure it out. Yeah. And then he goes and does it. Yeah. Alex Orji is not that type of quarterback. Correct. Yeah. And he you just want to get him in a rhythm. So he's playing a little looser, a little more free, and just kind of thinking less. When you're thinking, you're going to be a half step late on everything. Your throws are going to be late. Your mechanics are going to be tight, and everything suffers. And I think however they scheme it up, they need to make running an option. Running has to be the secondary option for him. Yep. And to Borge Warner's point about Altmaier, exactly. He didn't do as well as against Penn State. Illinois didn't execute as well, but also Penn State dialed up better defensively. They were more prepared for it than Nebraska was. So the scheme and stuff like that, they weren't able to have success on the plays, on the setup plays that they did against Nebraska. They were able to set a lot of plays up that came out later in the game against Nebraska that Penn State stuffed early on, which made Altmaier then have to try to do more, which he wasn't capable of doing. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So the Detroit Lions game is 21-7. Lions are punting right now. We've got 19 seconds left on the clock, so we're probably going to go into halftime 21-7. The Lions game is going into halftime. I'm going to call this overtime. If you guys want to stick around, we can do some quick hits on the rest of the games for this weekend. If you got to go, that is fine too.
No, I'll stay.
You guys
and Penn State Jim, one more. Sorry, I just saw his other comment. To your point about him getting sacked 7 times, that is also due to Penn State not falling for some of the schemes, because then Penn State was able to pin their ears back and get after him. Nebraska was their second level was on their heels. We were worried about 85 sneaking out of the backfield. We were worried about the inside run game. We were worried about the quick outs and the quick hitches that they were running. So our defense was more spread out. We weren't pinning our ears back and trying to get to the quarterback. Penn State stuffed a lot of that stuff early, so they were able to just pin their ears back and do what they wanted to do. And they got Illinois out of their game plan. Illinois got us out of our game plan. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. So if you guys can stick around, we can hit the next game. We can just do these quicker. We can, or however, whatever you guys want to do is fine with me. I'm just here to coordinate.
It's rock and roll.
So our next game then is the Purdue-Wisconsin game. Both of these teams are struggling. Purdue a little bit more than Wisconsin. Purdue is at 1-3 and 0-1 in the conference. Wisconsin is 2-2, 0-1 in the conference. The spread is only 14 points with a 46.5 point over/under. Although Wisconsin does have a 78% chance of winning this game. Peter, what do you think?
Yeah, the Badgers. I mean, their quarterback, he bounced back. What can I say? He had a decent game this past weekend, and it shocked me. I did not think he was capable of that. The Boilermakers are down bad. I mean, they're right there with UCLA as one of the worst teams in the conference, unfortunately. Ryan Walters is on borrowed time, and man, it stinks. I mean, you never like to see coach get fired, but you won't get fired this year. Probably make it a third season.
Really depends on who you're talking about.
Sure.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. The first coach I thought of when you said that was Mark D'Antonio, but he didn't get fired. He just left because he sucks as a person. As a coach, he's great. He fired himself. Yeah, he fired himself.
He's like, you know what? I'll do it for you.
Not before taking the bonus, though.
That's true.
He said
that's what he was waiting on.
Yep.
That's what he was waiting on.
Anyway, sorry, Peter.
Yeah, no, I do have the Badgers win this game fairly convincingly, and they get the first Big Ten win of the season.
Nice. Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, so Purdue's offense coordinator, Graham Harreld, was fired. So Nebraska got their OC fired. So it'd be interesting to see kind of what their offense is.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They suck anyways. They had 16. They had more penalty yards than they did offensive yards against Nebraska. They had 16 penalties for over 160 yards. I think something like that. It was insane. Yeah, it was really bad. That's not a good football team. They are. I think Wisconsin. If Wisconsin can handle any team, it's going to be Purdue. So yeah, I like. What's the spread on this? I'm having a hard time seeing. Let me see.
46.5.
46.
No, the spread, not the over.
Oh, I'm sorry. 14.
I like Wisconsin by 14-17. I'll go ahead and just say 27-10 Wisconsin wins. Wisconsin, I think they are just a product of not having a quarterback right now. And you know, of course, I think we kind of can't fully see what they are without their quarterback. So, but I think they're just a better coached team. I can't stand Ryan Walters. I love Fickle. And Wisconsin's just further ahead of where Purdue was as a program anyways. So yeah, I think Wisconsin can control this game.
Why don't you like Ryan Walters?
Because he's an idiot. I've never liked Ryan Walters. It just don't. Nebraska fans and Ryan Walters don't get along very well. There's some history there.
Okay.
I have to look into that.
Yeah.
Did he coach or play at Nebraska?
You kicked my dog. No, I'm just playing. No. So I don't even know the full ins and outs of why we don't like him. I just don't like him by association. So.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, this is probably one of the few Big Ten wins the Badgers get this season, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
it's nice that they're on the schedule. So hey,
Yeah.
get up as a dub.
Yeah, they're hurting. Who did I'm sorry, Justin, or did you mention this? Who did they just lost somebody, didn't they? A player.
Who?
Wisconsin.
Well, their quarterback.
Yeah, in the Bama game.
He's been out for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, has it been a
Down
couple
for the
weeks?
year,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah. Van
All
Dyke.
right.
Yeah.
Mac, what do you got?
I'm gonna say probably 35-10 Wisconsin. I don't know, 35 feels like a lot for Wisconsin, but Purdue's just bad. Purdue's just really bad. I'll say this though, I mean the Wisconsin was leading USC at the half, I think, by double digits.
How good is USC?
How good is USC? I mean,
I return back to that point.
I know you were the first person I thought of when I saw that score too. I was just like, oh my gosh, Wisconsin USC are at the half. Now I'm seeing Justin in my nightmares.
I'm glad you at least called them nightmares.
I daydream about you, buddy.
Otherwise, I was going to log off.
Well, you wanted to start an OnlyFans.
I was just trying to see where Peters was.
Peter, what you got?
You can find me at. No,
he ventured into TikTok. I just was seeing. All right.
Yeah,
so you never know. It's tough out here, bro, in this economy.
It is, man. I'm telling you.
Feet pics.
Yeah, I mean 35-10 Wisconsin. I feel like Wisconsin would be a lot better. Well, obviously they would be a lot better if they had Tyler Van Dyke, but I don't know how much better they would actually be. I mean, because I mean, obviously Tyler Van Dyke wasn't everything that Wisconsin was hoping he would be either. So like, how much better were they really going to be? I know they would be better because he was the starting quarterback and they had a little bit more of a flow with him.
Yeah.
But he wasn't really working out that great, and frankly, Luke Fickell's whole football philosophy really isn't working out at the Barry Alvarez, the school that the school that Barry Alvarez built. The stadium, the program that Barry Alvarez built. Jeez. I hate to say it, but I feel like Luke Fickell's actually the one on borrowed time. I mean, Ryan Walters just got there. I mean, Jeff Brom moved on to Louisville 2 years ago. Yeah. So Ryan Walters has only been there for 1 year, and
same with Fickell.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they both started last year.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Fickell, Ryan Walters, and then Matt Rule were the new coaches last year.
Yeah, man, I feel like that was a lot longer ago for some reason.
Fickell, Dion, Matt Rule, Ryan Walters.
But I mean, okay, so I guess to that point then, I mean, if Ryan Walters is on borrowed time, then I feel like Luke Fickell is too. If Luke Fickell doesn't make something of a comeback in the second half of the season, then Wisconsin's gonna probably start calling for his head. And it's, I think, fairly easy for Wisconsin to get rid of Luke Fickell because they don't love his system. It's not really Big Ten football. I mean, the air raid's not Big Ten.
Looking at his contract though. That was the thing. If he leaves Wisconsin before April 27, if he leaves, he owes them $8 million. After April 2027, the buyout drops to $5 million. If Wisconsin fires Fickell before the last game of the 29 season, owes him $6.48 million on top of everything else. He's got a big money contract. That's what will hold them back from being able to get rid of him.
I'd be curious though. I'm almost thinking in this age of NIL that coach tenures are going to be a lot shorter than they used to be, because if performance isn't there, you're losing that NIL money.
Yeah,
and you're not going to bring in the players.
Yeah, it depends. There was one point where Nebraska was paying coaches more to not coach than they were paying their actual coaches because of all the buyouts and all the firings that we done.
That's who I was thinking of. Frost. Frost. I mean, all they had to do was wait. Like another
1 week.
1 week.
We lost to Georgia Southern, and we owed him $8 extra million because we wanted to fire him that week. We weren't going to wait an extra week. The boosters got the $8 million together to get rid of him.
Well, not only that, but shelled out $72 million for Matt Rule.
Yep.
I mean, that was huge.
And I think we're I don't know how many coaches we're still probably paying, but yeah. So I tell you guys, they'll pay money. They'll pay money to move, but the thing is, the Wisconsin boosters there to be able to pay that money too to try to get rid of them, because I know the school's not going to want to pay it.
Yeah, but sorry, go ahead, Peter.
No, I was just agreeing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm already seeing rumblings on Twitter of fans saying, the boosters need to start looking at getting that money together. I mean, I don't know that $7 million is really that much to boosters anymore.
That's $7 million is just the extra on top of them releasing him before 2029, on top of all the buyout and all the contract that they'll have to buy out.
Okay, I see.
Too. That's the numbers I'm trying to find here. That's what would be interesting.
Let me
go ahead.
I was just going to say, so a couple of the calls in the chat here. We've got Borge Warner has Wisconsin 30-19, and Penn State Jim has Wisconsin 24-3. But then I also wanted to go back to Penn State Jim's question here. Justin, if you want to finish your thought, then we can go to this one.
Wilson.
No, I was just reading through. I just didn't realize they had him. They had his contract already running through 2031. Pickles. So
what? Really?
Yeah, no, I remember when he signed him. He signed a fat lucrative contract that they were all in on Luke. And so we'll see what happens with it.
$57 million over the course of 7 years.
Goodness.
Jeez.
Jackson Johnson has Wisconsin 24-7.
Yeah, but what was Mel Tucker's? Wasn't it $100 million over 10 years? Something like that.
Was crazy too. Yeah,
that was stupid.
Yeah. All right. So who do you have? When was the last time Wisconsin had a good quarterback?
Definitely Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I was in Russell Wilson.
Yep.
I forgot he played for Wisconsin. All right.
Just that senior year, yeah, he flourished too. And had Ohio State not beaten him on a last-second Hail Mary by Braxton Miller, they would have been undefeated in the regular season and been playing for a potential national championship. So.
Yeah.
And wasn't it his senior season that they beat Nebraska 70-30 something in the Big Ten championship?
That was 2012 that we got our doors blown off. Taylor Martinez was our quarterback then. It was Russell Wilson their quarterback then.
I'm pretty sure Russell Wilson and Monty Ball were playing for Wisconsin.
I don't know who the quarterback was, because every Wisconsin running back that's ever existed has run for over 200 yards in Nebraska. Like clockwork.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Set records against us. Like hearing Braylon Allen running all over us when he was 17 years old, and just hearing the commentators talk about he was 17 the whole game. It's we kind of got that in the Alabama game, but it was
right.
Yeah. They
man.
I'm gonna look that up while y'all talk.
I forgot about Braylon Allen too. He ran it all over Michigan in 2020. Of course, everybody ran it all over Michigan in 2020.
Yeah. Well, not everybody, because they only played 6 games. But
not Taylor Martinez.
I think Michigan only played 5, didn't they? And they
won. They were 2-4 in 2020.
2-4. Okay, yeah. Well, there you go.
That was the season that almost got Harbaugh fired.
Yeah,
or should have gotten fired, I guess.
And then along came Stallions.
So our next game.
Speaking of people you need to hire to win, Connor Stevens.
Hey, he's just up the street in Detroit right now, so give him a call.
Yeah, Mumford
defense sucks.
UCLA and Penn State. Penn State is now ranked number 7, just behind Oregon. UCLA is 1-3, 0-1 in the conference. Penn State is 4-0 and 1-0. The spread on this one is 27.5 points because UCLA sucks, but the total is only 44.5. So, Peter, what do you got?
Allen and Singleton continue to dominate on the ground. I think they get the job done. They run the ball effectively. Allar is a nice complementary quarterback. He hasn't really taken a game over. He hasn't really had a breakout performance, if you ask me, yet as a Penn State quarterback. But he is taking care of the football. He is moving the chains when needed, I guess. And, I said last week he only has thrown 58 passes. And obviously he wasn't very explosive in the Illinois game either. But, yeah, this is going to be no contest. I mean, Penn State's schedule is so easy. And it's a 2-game schedule. and they have a potential to upset Oregon and take a place in Indy. I don't think that will happen based on what I've seen so far this year, but they're going to put together another Penn State season. I mean, they're going to be that 10-2 probably again, like to the joy and the frustration of Penn State fans. I mean, gone. Like, how many deja vu seasons can we have in a row? We're just running it back. We can't beat the good teams, but yet we're not good enough to move into the elite status, and we can't get rid of Franklin because he's winning enough games and he's got a stable program, and it's just one of those things where it's an endless cycle for Penn State fans. But usually LA is just that bad, and this is not going to be a close game. I think they probably do score more than what the points given in that you just mentioned, 44.5, I think it was. I think Penn State might do that themselves, and so I'm impressed with the running attack and what the Nittany Lions have been able to accomplish on the ground thus far this season. Can't wait for the game in Happy Valley coming up in November to see if it's the same old paper tiger again. But Penn State easily handles this one and takes the dub. Probably, 50 to 10. I'll say 50 to 10.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm really, really low on UCLA, even lower than Purdue.
I'll just pull up Boris Werner's here. He's even lower. He had the same 50, but 0 for UCLA.
And I don't know how they get to 10. I'll just be honest about that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give them something.
Yeah. Justin, what do you think?
I'm gonna go Penn State 41-7. I think this is going to be a game where they call the dogs off early. Try to get some guys probably rotated through. UCLA's, they're putrid. Not much to talk about in this one. I think they have a great day. I think Aller has a great day. Another thing, too, I want to point out, I came up with Wisconsin history running against Nebraska. Sorry, I just wanted to pull this up. So y'all felt my pain.
Let's relive some pain. Open some wounds.
2011. Monty Ball ran for 151, which was not too bad.
Not too bad. Yeah.
Compared to what he did.
Yeah.
2012, Melvin Gordon ran for 216 yards.
Oh, jeez.
2014, Melvin Gordon ran for 408 yards. Again, in
400?
one game.
I remember that now. Yeah, wow.
408 yards.
Holy crap.
2017, Jonathan Taylor ran for 249. 2018, Jonathan Taylor ran for 221.
Yep.
2019, Jonathan Taylor ran for 204 yards. And then 2021, Braylon Allen, 228. And then they sucked after that. So, that was there you go. That's just so
Ohio State backs, what they've done in Nebraska, just to make Justin feel more welcome on the show.
Man, oh, man. Wisconsin running backs have not been my friend. Yeah. But, Penn State rolls this one. This is going to be bad.
Yeah.
Is Nebraska just allergic to tackling Wisconsin running backs or something then?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Nate Gary basically made his career. He got Nate Gary got to the NFL, I think, because he was a safety for Nebraska, but he had to get so many tackles from tackling Wisconsin running backs because they were just breaking into the third level so much. Like, he had some career games against Wisconsin in terms of tackles.
Jeez. All right. Well, there you go, I guess. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, Penn State.
Yep.
All right, so all the Penn State fans that gave us crap in the comment section can relax. I'm not going to pick against them this week. Holy crap. There's some jerks in the comments
I'm
section.
the only one to pick Penn State, I think, last week.
Yeah?
think
You
I'm the
got
only
some
one to
crap
pick
for
Penn
it,
State.
too, though, at one point. Somebody said that you were like this Husker guy was off his rocker or something like that. I can't remember.
I mean, I all I did was watch the film and broke down what I saw on film, but I still picked Penn State. I wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, I think the complaint was that you said it was going to be close.
I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
Illinois,
know, but you can't say that.
If Illinois
You can't say
didn't
that.
have a bad snap at the goal line, that game would have been 14-14 going to the very end of it.
Yep.
Yep.
You know,
But it doesn't matter because you said that it was going to be close, and Penn State fans don't like it, so you're wrong.
I invite
Right.
anybody in the comment sections or on Twitter, anybody who ever wants to like argue football. I'm just like, come on my show and we can discuss it live. Like,
There you go.
you know what I'm saying?
I don't give people like that the time of day. I usually just give them a crappy
won't.
response.
They won't. Do
That would be Nebraska football at the Voice of College Football and the
Bring
Big
it
Ten
on.
show.
Bring it on. You better have some film with you because I do.
Have some film. You better
But now
been
Penn State
taking
Jim here
notes.
was actually he was the reasonable one. He had
Yeah.
reasonable comments. But here he's also saying that if Penn State beats USC next week, they'll win 11 games unless by some miracle they beat Ohio State.
Their schedule sets up nicely. They
Have to look
avoid
at the
Yeah.
schedule.
you know, they don't play Oregon, and like I tried to convince myself and talk myself earlier in the season that Penn State would be the Big Ten, the second, the other Big Ten team than Ohio State in the Big Ten title game, but I just can't convince myself to do it. But on the other hand, Oregon's not playing up to par like we discussed earlier, and so you know, it'll be interesting. But I still have it Ohio State, Oregon. But yeah, to Jackson's point though, why is Big Noon kickoff at this game and why is game day at Miami Cal? Like this is a really weird week for pregame football shows, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Strange choices.
Are there no good games on?
There's only one ranked matchup again. So
yep.
And
I
I think
Rutgers,
they already
Nebraska's close ranked teams were 28. They're
Come on,
Yeah.
get in that top 25.
that we'll call that the receiving votes game.
Right.
Winner gets ranked.
I mean,
Mac, did you give your thoughts on this one?
Oh no, I didn't. I started to, but then
Yeah.
we started talking comment section.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean 45-6 Penn State, I think. UCLA will get a couple of field goals probably. I don't know. Yeah, there's nothing to talk about with this one. Why did UCLA hire their running backs coach as the head coach? I mean, the guy, did you see him at Big Ten Media Days? I mean, he looked shook.
That was tough.
Yeah.
Tony White that was who's our defensive coordinator. He didn't even go there, and that's his alma mater. I mean, that looked perfect for him, but Nebraska, he took a pay raise to stay at Nebraska instead of going to his alma mater. So maybe it's pretty telling. Maybe they had to go with whoever would who would take the job because
Kelly did come to Ohio State late, and so they were in a bit of a scramble mode. So
that's true. Yeah,
I was just surprised that
that's what I was
remembering. Tony
remembering,
White, because like it's just, I mean, you have Tony White comes in and just improves Nebraska's defense, so he's a high commodity in terms of head coaching spots, and your alma mater opens up, and you take an extension to stay at Nebraska. Yeah, I don't know what's going on inside of that UCLA program that maybe people are seeing.
It's frustrating because I don't see a desire to win in football from them.
No.
And I haven't seen that for this century. Let's be completely honest about things. I mean, they were a power in the 90s. They were. I mean, they beat Ohio State a couple of times, I think, in the 90s.
Now I look at them as like a 6-8 team at their best.
Yeah.
Well, they were a power back in the late 70s, early 80s too.
Certainly.
But, yeah.
Time. I was born in 1990, guys. All right.
All right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I remember the games from the late 70s and early 80s. Whatever.
Which means
Get off my back.
Which means is I'm too young to remember Nebraska's good days. I mean,
oh man,
the first thing that stands out to me, even though I grew up like watching Nebraska, but like as a kid, like I was when I was the Eric Crouch National Championship game where we got a doors blown off by 2001 Miami. Ken Dorsey ultimately ended up being one of the greatest teams of all time, but
yeah,
it was rough as a kid.
Well, that's so that's what's frustrating to me. So I watched Michigan in the late 70s and then through the 80s when Michigan just basically, if you wanted to bet week in, week out on Michigan, you would have done well. They were a great team. They weren't always, I mean, they won the Big Ten a lot with Bo Schembechler. They beat MSU all the time. They beat Ohio State half the time. And then to get to Rich Rod and suddenly they're losing everything, for me, that was that same thing. Like, what is going on? What happened to Michigan? Where did they go?
We don't lose.
We don't lose. And then to have another 8-9 years of that was just, that was awful.
It was just 7.
I don't know. That first year with Harbaugh wasn't fantastic, but
We went 10-2.
I know, but they didn't I don't know.
Actually, 11-2. They blew out Florida in the Gator Bowl.
Did they? All right.
Man, what is your? You're just like every other Michigan fan that was complaining about 9-3 and 10-2, and I'm just over here like, okay, born in '94, only got about 13 years with Lloyd Carr, and I didn't even fully care about football until probably 04, 05, maybe 03. And so that, I had a couple of years where things were looking good, but then App State happens. And I'm just like, I'm depressed as all heck. And then Rich Rod gets there and things are just awful. And I'm like, okay, I guess we suck apparently. And then Hope gets there and we still suck. And then Harbaugh's winning 9-10 games a season. I'm like, this is great. 9-10, that's awesome. And you're over there like, man, we suck. Like, shut up.
I mean,
all right. So here, Penn State, Jim and I must be about the same age.
You got to have some standards.
You do. I
mean, standards are what got Bo Pelini
Rich
fired.
Rod.
I know, but standards are what got Bo Pelini fired and got Nebraska in this whole situation to begin with, because he was winning only 9 or 10 games, and they fired his ass.
Yeah. I'll tell you,
to your point, it can be a bad thing to fire coaches winning 9 games.
So, yes. And I'll tell you what, at the time, I didn't know anything about Nebraska football. They had just been in the Big Ten for a couple of years when they fired him. But when I saw that they fired him, the first thought I had was, they're going to regret that.
Yep. Because he was mean. And then they went to Mike Riley, who's like the nicest person on the planet.
Yeah.
And
that was a total personality hire.
It was literally just the counter, because there was so much backlash because Bo Pelini was like grabbing players on the sideline and hitting them in the helmet and stuff like that. So,
like Woody Hayes.
Yeah, I think that was totally an optics thing that failed.
Yeah.
All right, our next game, Indiana at Nebraska. Northwestern. Sorry.
How dare you? That ugly end.
All right.
That ugly end. I saw an end. Indiana is ranked, finally. They're 5-0, and now they're number 23. They're 2-0 in the conference. Northwestern is 2-2. Not doing as well as we had hoped this year. 0-1 in the conference. The spread is 13.5 points. Indiana is the favorite, 42.5 for the over-under. And it looks like Indiana has an 84.9% chance to win this game. Peter, what do you think?
Listen, I was really impressed with David Braun's first year. I did not expect the Wildcats to play that well, to be 8-5 after what they went through, firing Fitzgerald a week before the season started or something like that last year. But just like under Fitzgerald, this team of the Wildcats has peaks and valleys. They have talent fall offs and they have talent peaks. And last year it was set up to be one of those talent peaks. And man, they have fallen off the cliff again. And I don't pretend to I don't pretend to know a ton about the Wildcat football program, this year's version of it, but I do know about Indiana. I'm very impressed with Kurt Cignetti. I expected them to be on the rise, not this quickly. I won't pretend to predicted what they're doing to teams' defenses. I mean, they're obliterating them and having fun doing it. I'm a big believer in Cignetti, what he's doing, and I think good things are ahead for the Hoosiers. And specifically in this game, good things are ahead. They're going to be 6-0. I think I saw earlier on Instagram they're 5-0 for the first time since 1967, which I think was their Rose Bowl year, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's impressive in its first, and just that's incredible. But they're about to be 6-0, and so good for the Hoosiers, man. It's really fun, and it's got a. Hey, at least Purdue has basketball because they're not good at football right now.
That's true. That's a
good point. The Hoosier State, at least in football, is going to be owned by the Hoosiers for the foreseeable future.
All right, Justin, what do you got?
Yeah, Northwestern just kind of is what they are. Like he was saying, it's one of those things where Northwestern just will always be what they are in terms of talent. They'll have years where, like he says, it's basically you develop some of those players and you have some that develop beyond where they thought they were going to be, and then you have maybe a year or two window, and then you're kind of back to resetting and rebuilding. And that's kind of where they are, and they're just kind of in that bottom, that very bottom peak, or the bottom pit of that kind of growth. I think they can get there in a couple years, but in this new kind of Big Ten, I think it's going to be harder for them, not being in a Big Ten West, to really be, make any noise or anything like that. But Indiana's just offense is too good right now. They've scored 244 points this season over their 5 wins. Northwestern doesn't have the firepower to score with them, or anybody in the Big Ten, really, in my opinion, outside of Purdue and UCLA. So yeah, Northwestern really actually is poor tackling compared to what they normally are, which is very uncharacteristic from Northwestern team. And I just think that's a recipe for disaster against an Indiana team that has a pretty good amount of athletes. I mean, they brought all those guys. Kirk Cinetti got all those guys in from James Madison. And I will say, before the season, one of the things I said about Indiana is they could be the worst team in the Big Ten, but they also have the highest upside of any team in the Big Ten. Did not think they were going to be this. I will not say that. When I'm talking upside, I was thinking like 4 or 5 spots higher than I had them. I thought they had the most upside in that regard. But yeah, the one thing I will say about Indiana, though, that I am not, the jury's still out on Indiana. And this, for me, are they physical? I don't know. I don't know how they handle a physical battle. I just don't think Northwestern's physical or good enough to be able to put them in that. However, Indiana, while a lot of people are running with Indiana and how good they are, we haven't seen them against a physical team. And I'm curious to see if they can still maintain what they have done when they run into somebody who's going to punch them in the mouth.
I thought Maryland would be a better fight for them, a tighter game.
Yeah,
I was kind of surprised. I mean, with that 42-28, that ended up, but
just Maryland relies too much on explosive plays. But they're not consistent enough as an offense, and they are very much a one receiver team. I think I'm drawing a blank on his name. Had over 500 yards going into last week's game by himself. So. Yeah, I just think when I want to see Indiana against a team that can methodically kind of put some drives together, but because right now Indiana's just kind of doing what they want with teams, and I just want to see them get taken out of that. I want to see them face some adversity, and see how they
Nebraska.
handle.
Yeah,
What kind of mentality do they have?
Yep.
That'd be interesting to see for sure.
Man, that Indiana-Nebraska game is going to be super fascinating. Then
That's our next game after the Rutgers game.
Yeah. So. Man.
I think we got a bye before then.
Okay.
I think we got a bye week and then we had Indiana.
Yeah. I mean, and Indiana's at home too. That's dangerous, dude. That's going to be an interesting game for sure.
I feel more confident against Indiana than I did against Illinois and Rutgers. I will say that, just because I think styles make fights, and I think Nebraska can out physical Indiana. And I think Nebraska's biggest struggle will be against other teams who can out physical them and beat them at their own game. So,
yeah, I guess that'll be the test for Kirk Cignetti. Cignetti, yeah. Can he create a physical Big Ten style football team in Indiana? I mean, yeah, Indiana's pulling in some really good players. I mean, they got everybody from James Madison, which is great.
But they want to out athlete Ohio State's, Oregon's, so they're going to have to find a brand of football there.
Right. Well, but I feel like that brand of football is going to come back to what Indiana was under Tom Allen a little bit. Or was it Tom Allen or
Kevin Wilson?
Tom Allen.
Okay.
No, Tom Allen. I think it was Tim Allen. Tom Allen.
Oh.
Yeah. And which was, I mean, they had, so like when Michael Penix was at Indiana, they almost upset Ohio State, like on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's huge, but that was Indiana. Is like you never really knew what you were going to get from them from week to week. I mean, there was a point under Tom Allen where they had the players to soundly thrash inferior opponents and then give better opponents a run for their money. They would never be able to out physical them. So they just had to play, I mean, they kind of had to go nuts. They had to just, say, we've got nothing to lose. We might as well just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And Michael Penix was the best quarterback you could possibly have for that kind of a game plan. And that's what they did against Ohio State in 2020 was just, we're going to throw it everywhere. We're going to throw it this way. We're going to throw it that way. And we're going to make Ohio State keep up with us. And they almost did it. So I feel like that's what Kirk Cignetti is going to end up having to do at Indiana, because I don't foresee Indiana being able to overcome like the administrative issues of being able of pulling in rosters like your Ohio States and Michigan's and Penn State at this point. But dude, I mean, they'll probably beat Northwestern pretty soundly. I would think somewhere in the neighborhood of like a 40-10 situation. But depending on how they look against Nebraska, I mean, I'm kind of concerned about Michigan going on the road, but if they beat Michigan, that Ohio State game just got really interesting.
Ohio State thrashes them. Ohio State destroys Indiana.
Most likely.
Oh, come on. Nothing.
I'm sorry.
Nothing.
I'm sorry.
Give me a break, man. I'm just trying to get clicks here, all right?
All right, let's talk about Penn. Let's talk bad about Penn State then.
Oh, yeah.
All right. James Franklin sucks.
So the Lions game is in the third quarter. There about 7:55 left. It just went up 28-14. So,
hey, all right.
Lions are doing all right.
About to have to go feed my dogs.
Yeah, I should probably bounce off soon as well, too. I did want to say one last thing on the Northwestern just trajectory of the program. Although they do have those peaks and valleys, I wonder if not having a home stadium for the next 2 years is going to just wipe out it'll just be valleys. Like, I mean, recruits want to have a home environment. And although people keep saying it's a beautiful spot on the lake, well, all their big games are over at Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
And so, to not have a home stadium for the next 2 seasons, I think it damages them for quite a while. Now, their new stadium again is going to be amazing, but we'll see if David Braun can keep these peaks in the right trajectory going. Yeah. But it's going to be it's an uphill battle. I'll just say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for hanging out for so long. I appreciate all of the hard work you guys put into this.
Absolutely.
You're helping us get to 1,000 subs, and that's just awesome. I love having you guys on. Justin,
appreciate you having
us.
Justin, why don't you give your socials one more time, and then I will let you go.
Yeah, you can find me on X at _H-Town Husker. You can find me on YouTube at Nebraska Football at the Voice of College Football. And then you can also find me over on YouTube again at the Big Ten Show. I guess I didn't need to reiterate YouTube twice, but Big Ten Show on YouTube. You can find me there as well. So yeah, y'all stop by and drop in the comments, say what's up, and let us know what you want to see.
When is the next watch party?
I think we want to do one this weekend. Last weekend's was a little bit last minute, so I'm going to try to do one this weekend. If he can't, I'm going to try to do it solo.
Cool.
I'm going to try and tune in for that. That'd be sweet.
I'm going to try to pick a game, a game outside of the Nebraska window that the majority of people want to see. So,
right. All right. Thanks again, Justin, for hanging out. Go feed the dogs.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, have a good one.
Thanks, man.
Later, fellas.
All right, Peter. Thank you again for hanging out this long. Appreciate it.
Always
Where
a good
can
time.
Find you?
Yeah, I love being on here. Truly, it's always fun discussing football and learn a lot from Justin. And he knows the X's and O's. I'm more of a stats guy. It's incredible. And obviously, Big Ten Ted. The guests you have on are really awesome, and you guys are really great too. So I always enjoy coming on the show as well. So you can find Rob and I live this Thursday 8:30 here on YouTube. Every Thursday night we go live previewing the upcoming week's games and just the storylines of college football and what we expect from the weekend that is forthcoming. Over on TikTok, Buckeyes Battle Cry as well. A lot of the same content, but also some TikTok-y content. No OnlyFans.
No OnlyFans yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I haven't taken the step. I ain't desperate enough yet. The funds get a little bit tighter, though. I ain't saying no. I never say no. Maybe I don't
Hey,
know.
man, that dock strike is supposed to start tomorrow. Price is about to go up again, man.
That's what I heard, right?
That's what's going on.
Stuck in the Suez Canal at some point too. Maybe they'll even skyrocket even more. But
we're all gonna have OnlyFans.
exactly. But yeah. We release videos throughout the weekend, so I have another one dropping tomorrow. A short, just on the top performers from this past weekend, and then of course talking about Ohio State, Michigan State, the game that was. But yeah, we'll see you all next week. Appreciate it once again, and looking forward to it, fellas. We'll see you next week.
All right. Yeah,
Awesome.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, man.
Take care. All right. Whew. Another good show. Let's see.
Yeah.
Where are we at here? We're still at 28-14.
5.5 left in the quarter.
Okay. It just disappeared on me, so I didn't catch the time. Yeah, 5:18. I got 5:16. What's on your clock?
5.8. Well, I don't know.
Oh, you're a few seconds ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, am I? Yeah, 5:18 now.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, all right. We went too long.
Right. Yeah, I know, but hey, we went into overtime, and
yeah,
it's
that's
cool.
true.
We got lots of good stuff going on. All right, why don't we head out? Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Appreciate the time and the subscriptions and the chats. Love everybody out there hanging out with us. Don't forget to check out the Team Rivalry website. The Pigskin Showdown is still going on there. You can sign up and you can make your picks and get on the leaderboard. It's never too late because we do weekly leaderboard stuff. Also, check out Michigan football at the Voice of College Football, where we do our Point a Minute show, which comes out on Tuesday morning. You can also get a lot of great content from John Diadamo and TJ Ronan. Don't forget to like and subscribe here. Most importantly, come on back next Monday, 8 p.m. We will be live with the Pigskin Showdown Week 7 with half the season in the books.
Alrighty.
Mac, anything you want to add?
It's way past my bedtime. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Good night. All right. Thanks a lot. And that's going to do it for us tonight. Enjoy some football. Watch the Lions game. Like I said, it's 28-14. Almost done with the third quarter. Mac, take us out.
This is the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. Have a great night.